Christopher Wray could not tell us last week where the Hunter Biden laptop is or if the FBI still has it. But we might have, and I say this very passionately because I also worked counterintelligence for years in the FBI. We may very well have our own highest level of government penetrated by Chinese agents. And the evidence is certainly on the surface, and the patterns are there. I've worked this stuff. I know what it looks like, and many agents feel this way.
Many agents feel this way. Many agents feel this way. What do you guys think about that? Is it Friday yet? No, it's Tuesday. It's only Tuesday. It's only Tuesday. I had to look to make sure I didn't have the title labeled incorrectly. Let me start here. Let's go right down the list here. We got Trumpinator. First one here. Look at this. Trumpinator comes in with $5 and says, I'm going to start it off right now with $5 towards the goal so that everybody knows what time it is. And it says, everyone, please show your appreciation to Jim and consider donating to him. You don't need to be well off to send him a few dollars. I'm not at all. And well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping that you will be well off someday and everything will get straightened out and you'll be good to go. I really appreciate it. I'll take that 5 off. Also, who we have here, our second person that came in, and Terry just says, here's another 5 because, you know, I appreciate you and I like what you do. And I say, thank you very much, Terry. I got JD saying hello. What the F? What's up? Terry saying hi, you know, what the F? And then Brian Ogden says, what? Which is, I think he's talking to what the F. And then he says, it's Friday yet. I don't know. Steve Hilliard, what's up, buddy? How you doing? It's Tuesday only. That's right. So that's where we're at. Let me do this. Let me deduct this. I'll take this $5 off and this $5 off. So that'll put us at $65 for the goal. Okay. And as everyone knows, there's a goal for every $75 that comes in. You guys can see that marks on my head where I scraped on the bottom of my pool the other day. It still hurts. For every $75 that comes in, total across all platforms, donations, PayPal, Cash App, you name it, Rumble Rants, Super Chats, all that stuff, memberships, gifted memberships. I'll add an hour to the show, an additional hour for each one. And if any individual one comes in for $25 or more, that's an automatic television activated for the night. Oh, and then thank you, Ann. Just sent $10 on Cash App. Thank you very much. That will come off too. So we're at 55. Okay. Got some more people came in. What's up, Daniel Gagax? How you doing? Life is a different. What's up? Rachel Boone. Hello, Jody. What's up? Sharon Tyler. Hi. How you doing? I'll see your 5. I hate my phone covers my typing. Well, thank you. You're the greatest anyway, all you guys. So, yeah, this I thought this video was pretty cool, so I wanted to play that. And let me here. No, push. Come this up. What is going on? I guess that looks good for me. Let me figure Bella's cam. Oh, there we go. Get it going here. Why is she so crooked? What did you do? How did you make your camera so crooked, Bella? Sorry, guys. Bumped her camera. That made it worse, didn't it? Is that better? I guess that's better. I don't know. So let's just see here. All right. So we get going. So the first story of the evening is, oh, wow. Diamonds in the Rough says, I'm going to need more than 2 hours today. Can't sleep without Jim. And we all want to see Bella from minute one. Well, you get what you're going to get what you want there. You're going to get Bella. And she's kind of half on, half off. I'm going to have to fix it there. Give me a second. You get what you want. We're going to give you what you want. What is going on here? Bella, why are you laying like that, all half off the bed? That's crazy. Bella. Hold on, I'll fix it. She's got to correct it, but thank you, man. Wow. Thank you so much. Bella, come on. Here. Much better. Much better. Now I can even blow it up a little more and get you a little closer look. There you go. All right. Woof. Okay. Whoa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. They say, thanks for Bella. Yes. Mm-hmm. So now we are $30 away. $30 away from our first extra hour. And that's a nice way to start the show, I have to say. I kind of like it when it starts like that. Hey, Catherine K., what's going on? So we're getting all this stuff going real early tonight. That's nice. Nice to see. I hope everyone on Twitter, on Rumble is okay. Rumble's been acting weird all day, so I hope everything is good on Rumble. So this first thing I wanted to start with is just a video before we get into the stuff that happened at the UN today. I saw this video from Candace Owens. A lot of people are talking about it. Well, so I want Candace Owen reveals that a witness who filmed the rooftop shooter just before Charlie Kirk was killed says his account completely contradicts. What's going on here? Completely contradicts what the FBI says. And the witness's footage shows the gunshot came just seconds later, and as a firearm expert, he identified a smaller weapon having fired a lighter bullet. He also gave a detailed description of the assassin wearing tactical gear and a mask with the appearance of a foreign operative, but the FBI chose not to release any of it. I mean, do we believe any of this? Is this ridiculous?
He was a very much, and maybe this is a poor way of saying it, a straight shooter, said, yes, you know, I have a training. And I don't want to give too many identifying details here, but this person himself has a lot of experience with guns and knows guns and, you know, helps to train people in that sort of a capacity, and said that they observed that individual, the FBI saying that the shooter dropped onto the roof at 12:15 didn't make sense to him. He said earliest it was 12:22 that the individual ran across, set up, took the shot. And I said, well, you must have been there, because he then sends me I wanted to see all of the metadata of when he took that footage. And the metadata begins at 12:22 and goes into 12:23, the very minute that Charlie gets shot. And he says, yeah, I saw the shot. I had just stopped recording about 20 seconds before the shot rang out. And he said that he told them a description of what the shooter looked like. And it was not the description that the entire world received less than 24 hours later of this person, Tyler Robinson, wearing jeans. I said, was he wearing jeans? He said, no. Actually, this person was dressed in tactical gear and he was wearing a face mask. And he said, according to him, like I said, he has a lot of experience with guns, that this person looked to him like a foreign agent. I don't know if he's
okay. Hold on. How the fuck? Come on. I hate to swear like this, but how could she possibly? Someone say he was wearing a mask, but he looked like a foreign agent. Did he have a Star of David on his head or something? I mean, what is she? Where's she going with this? You know, I don't understand this. And Nanner knows. I just saw that it says for hey Jim Bell in the chat. Thank you so much for the $10. That's gonna come. And I forgot tonight. I didn't play the. I didn't play this for any of these super chats. I got to go back. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to play this, that I had these set up. Okay, sorry about that. Wow. Yeah, let her rip. I with you. I don't believe any of this. This is, to me, this is completely nonsensical. Like, how is it possible that they could say it looks like a foreign agent if they're wearing a mask? First of all, I mean, that just makes no sense. Second of all, this is just crazy. Yeah, she really has it in for the Jews. She does. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know. She seems like a psycho. Like, she is, I think, speed running her way to bankruptcy. Like really, she's gonna end up owing the Macrons like hundreds of millions of dollars. And I don't see how she gets out of it. I really don't. You know, I mean, so I don't know. I'm going to play a little bit more of this, but if it continues to be just as crazy, I'm going to stop it. And we're going to get on to the other stuff of the day, the big news that I think is big news of the day. But this I saw, and someone else had told me about this and asked about it, and I said, well, I don't.
That, but he said he was very certain that this person was skilled, knew exactly what he was doing, and was highly trained, like a highly trained assassin, so to speak. Okay. He then says something else.
I want you to notice too that she's reporting everything. It's all hearsay that someone supposedly told her. So that's how she can get out of getting sued, I think, in this case. Because she, well, I was just reporting what someone told me. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying anything is true. I'm just reporting what someone told me. I'd like to see the records on who told her this. I mean, why won't she come forward and say whose name it is? If this is true, and if all this is true, and this is a big cover-up, and the person told the FBI, and the FBI didn't do nothing about it, we need to know the person's name. Get the person out here. Let's do this. That's why it's all bullshit.
Soon as George Zinn got arrested and that started circulating, he ran to someone on campus and said, this is the wrong person. I observed this person with my eyes. You have the complete wrong description. The person you're looking for is wearing tactical gear and is obviously young because I watched him sprint back after taking the shot. I saw this with my own 2 eyes. And for whatever reason, that never made its way out that we can see of a description of a person wearing tactical gear. We're kind of left with this idea that he was wearing the now infamous veterans shirt with the American flag on it and some jeans. So he also said something that we had not heard, which is that he knows guns, and the gun that the FBI found was not the gun that he saw, that the gun that he saw was smaller. And I'm going to read you directly a text message that he sent me, again, protecting his identity. He said, watching the video of the impact, hearing the sharp crack instead of a big hunting rifle's boom, and seeing what looked like a shorter rifle platform, albeit with the absence of the shape of a standard 30-round magazine.
Okay. I'm going to tell you guys right now, that's bullshit. I heard the video. I saw the video. All right. The original video. When it happened, I said, I mean, maybe I didn't say it to people online, but I said to people I know that I said it was either a 308 or 30-06 that I heard. You could tell the sound. It wasn't a 5.56. It wasn't a crack. It wasn't it was a hunting round. I could tell. You could tell by the sound. And it was a single shot. That's another problem, is it was one single shot. So it's almost impossible for someone on the ground to tell where that shot came from. You heard it, you're going to be like, well, where'd it come from? It takes 2 shots to locate, always. It's an old Indian trick. You never shoot twice because that's how people can find you. Indian, feather, not dot. Hey, what's up? It's a little watermark. What are you doing? What's it say? I always look smaller when you're that close up, so I'm told. Well, yeah, 223 is a hunting round. Okay, it's an intermediate cartridge. This was not an intermediate cartridge. The sound was not an intermediate cartridge. It's a completely different sound. Completely different sound. Anyone who's ever been around gunfire, you can tell the sound difference between a 5.56 223, 7.62 by 39, 7.62 by 55, 54, 53, 52, 51. It's different. 30-06. Yeah, you can get ballistic tips, 30-06, yeah, but I don't think it was a ballistic tips. Yeah, you get VMAX, you get all this stuff. Oh, I missed your rant, so take 10 off the total. I did? Oh, wait, what? Oh, there was a rant. I didn't. It says, I'll take your 5 and raise you 5, Trumpinator. I did not see it. I'm sorry. That will be another 5 off. That will be another 5 off. I think that actually gets us down to $10 now. Yeah, we're $10 away from the first additional hour now. That's a we're cooking with Earl tonight. We're cooking with Earl tonight. So anyway, I heard the sound that I heard was not a intermediate round. It wasn't whatever you want to call it. It wasn't 5.56. It wasn't anyway. No. Let's just see. It was 10, not 5. I got the 10. I did take the 10 off. It was at 20. I just brought us down to 10. I got it. I got the $10 rant. I did take 10 off. What are we talking about? What? Are you talking about what I said? No, I was reading his Rumble rant. It said, I'll see your 5 and raise you another 5. I misspoke? Okay. Did I? All right. I don't know. I got 3 different things at the same time in my head, and I'm looking at stuff. Oh, and there it is. Philip Coggin says, here's the goal. Tomorrow will be my first day back at work since the 4th, so I'm off the bed. Well, did I say 5 off? Okay, I meant 10. I did take 10 off though, because it was 20. I made it 10, and now this 10, that's 0. So now we're right now we are on our way to a second additional hour. We are now 75 away from a second additional hour. Oh, all right. So I did not. I wanted this. I didn't want this Candace Owens thing to be like a long thing. So
assassin may have used a 10 or 20 round magazine, only expecting to shoot once or twice. I would guess that he was shot with a Hornady V Max or similar lightweight 223 bullet designed for very rapid expansion. Of course, I don't have access to any autopsy reports like you might, but if they found small shards of copper rather than one large copper coated lead slug, that's the gun and bullet I would expect was used.
yeah, well, she's wrong. Someone's saying expect, not what they know, and it was not a 223. A 223 has a 556 has a specific crack, which you did not hear when that shot was fired. It was not a 223 or 556. Just wasn't. So anyway, so that's what this idiot's saying. So I don't believe her. I don't believe nothing she has to say. So I think she's on a fast train to irrelevancy, and well, that's a good question. Will Bella spin clockwise or counterclockwise tonight? Goes back to my original comment. Is it Friday yet? What does that mean? We already have one additional hour. Yes, we already have one additional hour. I want a late show. Jim entertains me as I try to fall asleep. Okay, well, I don't know. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let me fix that. There she is. There she is. We'll zoom in a little more. You don't move unless Bella does. Yeah, Candace is crazy. You believe some of what she says, and you think some she's reaching. I just, like if she wouldn't, she was one of the people that came out like the day after accusing it of being Israel, and now all of a sudden she's got this. Now all of a sudden she's got a eyewitness. Kind of convenient, isn't it? I don't know. But Potato Biden, the problem is that the video recording, the guy that zoomed in, he was far away. He was outside of the amphitheater area. So the sound that you heard was when the bullet was passed. You were hearing the shot and the sonic boom when it passed, the sonic crack when it passed him. And you could actually, if you remember the video, he zooms in on Charlie, and then you can see Charlie you could actually see Charlie get hit right like a couple milliseconds before you hear the shot. Has the Ukraine-Russia war ended or not media worthy? I don't know I have some news on that Trump told Zelensky that he can get all the country back or something. And, I don't know. I mean, what do you want to talk about the Ukraine war? I mean, they're still fighting. Just Candace is a huge grifter. It's always been funny. Funny how she found out she had a shitty contract with the Daily Wire on a live stream of Tim Pool in real time. Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it? That was really funny. God, I should pull that clip and we should watch the look on her face when she finds out how shitty her contract was. And now we're only 70 away from a second additional hour. Thanks to Philip Coggins. Thank you so much. And I keep forgetting the, did I do it for this one? Anyway. So, all right. So let's get this. President Trump just called out the UN for funding an invasion on America's southern border. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance. Hey, Jilly, what's up? The UN also provides food and shelter. Let's see. Trump gives this nice long speech, about 2 minutes. I'll play this, and then I will look for that Candace clip.
And their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal.
Do you, I don't know, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms I recognize. That's why I immediately knew it was Daily Wire. So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right?
Sorry,
like if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss 1 day of work. When you first see that, when I first received a contract,
All right. We'll go back. All right. I apologize. I was muted because I was typing, and I hit my cough button because I was typing. I didn't want the typing stuff to go all crazy. So I found a clip. I'm going to play it. When I was muted, could you still hear other things talking? Or when I was muted, could you not hear Trump talking? Anyway, let's
do you, I don't know, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms I recognize. That's why I immediately knew it was Daily Wire. So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right? Like if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss 1 day of work. When you first see that, when I first received a contract from a Daily Wire, I went, that's a shocking number to see. Then you have to calculate, and by the way, mine was not this. I want to be very clear. I don't have a $50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about, it's that they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right? I need to go renegotiate my contract. But so you see it, and it's shocking. And then you read under, which is what he did not include when he says, so if I get hit by a car, like I'm just going to $100,000 a day. He didn't tell you how much he made. You don't know what $100,000 means unless you can see what were they offering him. And you can calculate yourselves. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that we're paying you $63,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? He purposely like excluded right beneath it that says that actually it's pro rata if in event of an emergency.
Do you, I don't know.
So is that's the clip everybody was remembering, right? I mean, there is another one here. Let me go back and no, that's the same one. So yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the video. So all right. Wait, what is this? There. And then we got this. The UN Secretary General says we must choose climate justice. No government can stop us. No one American dollar should fund the UN's. Not one American dollar should fund this useless programs. Oh, you guys are used to Joe's typing? Well, Joe's the one who yelled at me about typing.
We must choose climate justice. The climate crisis is accelerating, but so are the solutions. The clean energy future is no longer a distant promise. It's already here. No government, industry, or special interest can stop it. But some are trying, hurting economies, locking in higher prices, and squandering a historic opportunity. We must.
Okay. But this, well, no, this is not the correct story. What the hell is going on? How did I get all screwed up? Whatever. My tabs got all fucked up, so we're gonna go like this. I have to move some stuff around. So if stuff's a little out of order, I apologize in the story. I don't know what happened, but poetic justice. Somebody thought it would be funny to break the escalator as soon as Trump stepped on it. Presumably the same people broke his teleprompter just as he began his 15-minute speech due to a malfunction. Trump extended his speech an additional 40 minutes. Those who sought to silence him were awarded with almost an hour of solid gold from the president.
And no president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help.
No, it was the chat people tell me I should get a bell.
The deal.
For Bella, a Bella
All
bell.
I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much.
Yeah, blame the YouTube chat. That's what I would do. Yeah, the bell, see? They had one that had mooing too, but I was like, the mooing might be a little over the top, so. God, whatever. So. Yeah, so there's that, and now we got this. If someone at the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as President and First Lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately. The Times reported on this on Sunday. So yes, there was a story that said that to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators and elevators and simply tell him they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs. Oh. Recovery addict and EDB have a screaming cow. Well, the cow, because of Bella, cowbell, Bella, that was the. So, sorry. And they stopped the teleprompter too, and yeah. So, yeah. Here's the article right here in the Times, LA Times, to mark Trump's arrival. So yeah, so that's I have, or not in the Times of London, I believe it is actually. I have it, but yeah. And this is I ended 7 wars and never even received a phone call from the UN. These are 2 things I got from the UN: a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. That's funny bit, funny line. We like that. All right, and then we'll read the story here. A couple stories. Teleprompter for Trump forced to ad-lib intro to UN speech after escalator and teleprompter fail. Big trouble. Mm-hmm. An escalator malfunction, and I have the video. You're going to see it. The escalator didn't malfunction. Somebody purposely stopped it just as Trump stepped onto it. It doesn't. The amount of belief or the amount of craziness you would have to have in your head to believe that the second Trump stepped on the escalator, it just stopped working on its own. No, especially after that story, somebody did it. They're going to investigate. They're going to find out who it was, and there's going to be hell to pay. Yeah. Yeah. Off prompter, Trump is best. Trump off prompter. Yeah. Yeah. So, the escalator carrying Trump delivers remarks abruptly stalled shortly after the president stepped foot on it. Like immediately, he stepped on it and then it shut off, forcing him to walk up. Then, after making it to the podium, they revealed his prompter wasn't working. You know, I don't mind making a speech without a prompter because the prompter's not working. Trump again, looking a little irked, drawing laughter. I feel very happy to be up here. Nevertheless, the way you speak from the heart, I can only say whatever is operating the prompter is in big trouble. Yeah, the escalator stopped. Look, he stepped on it and it just stopped working. It was sabotage. Yeah, just like usual. Sabotage, and it backfired on him. Yeah, after about a minute passed, appeared Trump's speech finally appeared in the prompter and he got going, but the technical glitches have seemingly hit a nerve. You think so? You think so? You think it hit a nerve? I mean, many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York named Donald Trump, I've been on a renovation of rebuilding this very UN complex. I remember it so well. And Trump had put in the early 2000s, he pushed to renovate the 39-story UN headquarters. He got passed over, and a $2.3 billion project was completed 3 years behind schedule and over $400 million in cost overruns. Oh, go figure. They didn't have Trump do it, and it was you had to enlarge the picture to see if Bella is breathing. Oh, she's breathing. I can see it. Yeah, we need to kick the UN out. Tell them to go back to wherever they were. It said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would have been beautiful. He used to talk about how I'm going to give you marble floors. They decided to go in another direction. It was much more expensive. I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and their building concepts were so wrong. As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at this building getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. Hold on 1 second. All right. Is this a... Oh, hold on. So here it is. Here's the video of them stepping onto the elevator.
So when Trump went to the UN today, the passive-aggressive, pedophile, kleptocratic world government, carbon tax, COVID lockdown tyrants played every trick in the book, other than a banana peel on the ground for him to slip on. They turned the escalator off when he got on it. Then they broke the teleprompter. Then on multiple feeds, they had like Lithuanians or whatever piping in on his audio. I'm surprised they didn't have Casper the Friendly Ghost throw a pie at him or something. So, but that's the left. They want to be your teachers. They want to be your lawyers. They want to be the regular. They want to creep around because they're cowards and never have a fair fight.
I was hoping you had some of the Alex Jones ones. How is Alex?
He was great. He lost a lot of weight.
I saw he's getting like Yeah, he's ready for the
My
next.
friend
big...
Sean Johnson's training him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gets up every morning. He works out for hours. I think he's lost 70 pounds at this point. He looks fantastic, man.
Yeah.
He looks fantastic. He looks like he's 20 years younger. People think this is really funny because, you know, his whole business is conspiracy theories. So there's a conspiracy that Alex has been replaced.
Yeah.
So listen, folks, that's real.
Sorry. Sorry, everybody. Oh, man. I had to run out and take care of something real quick. and then a commercial started playing for Alex Jones. I don't know why he does this with his commercials. So, yeah. So, see, they broke the escalators. If you look, you can see, watch right here. He's going to go to get on the escalators. And then watch. It's going to stop as soon as he gets on. Like right there. He's on the escalators, and it stops immediately. Like, I think, honestly, I would say that whoever did that should get charged with attempted murder on the president, because what if he would have fell and cracked his head? It's no joke. You know what I mean? No, I wasn't walking Bella. I have a house guest here right now, and they couldn't get the hot tub to work, so I had to go turn the hot tub on, show them how it works. Anyway, long story. So. Anyway. Yeah, I think he's more pissed because Melania was involved. Yeah, like if Melania would have fell, he would have really been pissed. But you can see what happened there and how it all worked. So, yeah, the U.S. pays a quarter of the budget, upsetting your biggest benefactor. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, this is because they're pissed because Trump's trying to cut the money from them. This is not the way to go about it. It's not. No. So sabotage. UN escalator goes out on Trump, leaving him and First Lady caught standing like sitting ducks. Then the teleprompter breaks down during the assembly speech. Oh, you're gonna lurk a bit? Okay, cool. We saw what happened. The UN escalator shut down immediately after President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump stepped on it. The escalator on the right did not shut down for some strange reason. Yes, Bella moves. Bella moves a lot. You know, she'll move. You just got to pay attention. You got to watch closely because, you know, she'll move so quick you won't even notice it. What'll happen? You know, that's what'll happen. She'll move so quick you won't even notice it. Yeah, he needs to nullify all the UN agreements Biden signed. Definitely. So President Trump returned to the United Nations General Assembly in New York for a major address. The president and the first lady arrived approximately 8:50 a.m. Melania Trump looked flawless as usual in her white suit as she entered with the uber popular 45th and 47th president. Yeah, it's weird too, you know, that they never all these, you know, Vogue and all these magazines. You know, she was a model, a supermodel, Melania, and she's probably. I mean, I don't know. I mean, could you think of another first lady that was more beautiful than Melania Trump that could hold a candle to her at all? Any of them? I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who? I don't. I mean, there's not yet. They try to champion Michelle Obama as the most beautiful first lady. They still write stories about how she was the most elegant first lady. She looks like a dude. She's got broad shoulders. She's bigger than, you know, she's Big Mike. She's bigger than Barack. Anyway. Yeah. The First Lady and President Trump walked through the building and stepped onto an escalator that was surrounded by people. There were two escalators going up to the next floor. Melania stepped on the escalator on the left, followed by President Trump. As soon as President Trump stepped on the escalator, it quit moving. The escalator on the right continued to operate. Melania reacted quickly and started walking up the escalator stairs, followed by President Trump and his entourage. This was another serious security breach. Why did one side break down as soon as President Trump stepped on it? Why did the right side keep operating? Where was the Secret Service to protect President Trump and Melania Trump? They left President Trump standing still on an escalator stairway by himself with his wife. What the hell is going on? Yeah. Jackie Kennedy, Jackie Kennedy for the time, I think she was, for the time period, she was very pretty, but she's not, it was never a supermodel. You know. And then when he started his speech, told the crowd the teleprompter was not working, and Trump made light of it. Oh, see, here goes Bella. She's moving. What the hell's going on here? I got people coming in and out of my house. Oh, sorry. Oof. Anyway, there, see, Bella moved. You see it? She got up and looked around, and then she came back. Now I got to fix the camera. Damn, Bella. Stop moving so much, Bella. Getting too excited. All right. Yeah, this is insane. As Trump arrived at the UN, the escalator stopped working the moment he stepped on it. The teleprompter stopped moving too. And here's the video. Watch. And see how she jerked and lurched? That's not good. And this is not good. I mean, whoever thought this was funny, somebody did this, and whoever thought it was funny to do this is going to have a major problem. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. You guys didn't get to see it. Sorry, I wasn't sharing it. Damn it. I mean, watch how she jerks. She almost falls. You know what I mean? She almost falls. That's not good. The Secret Service has launched an investigation into the United Nations investigation into the United Nations escalator suddenly stopping as soon as President Trump and Melania stepped on it. Carolyn Levitt confirms. If we find that these were UN staffers who are purposely trying to literally trip up the president and the first lady of the United States, there better be accountability for those people, and I will personally see to it. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from London Times, as you pointed out. The UN global staffers were basically plotting to set up the president of the United States. Also, the audio inside the room was much lower and different for the president of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all this together, teleprompter, escalator, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me. And I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this, trying to get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
All right, Caroline, it does appear to be sabotage with the escalator and the teleprompter. What is the White House going to do about that?
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me. And that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the president of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the president's historic speech today, noticed that the audio inside of the room was much lower and different for the president of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all of this together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me. And I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to literally trip up the president and the first lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people. And I will personally see to it, Jesse.
Good.
Damn, she gonna get him. She gonna get him, girl. How's she gonna see to it, though? How many more spits in the eye to our great president? He was a stationary, and that puts him at risk. Someone do effing something instead of lecturing a globalist. Think they can operate with impunity. Who at the United Nations shut down the escalator the moment President Trump and our first lady got onto it? Why was the next one working? This is the act of hostility of a hostile party. Why wasn't he immediately covered, just like he wasn't immediately covered at DC restaurant weeks ago when someone clearly tipped off protesters to where he'd be and he would be there? President Trump must be protected. The globalists are capable of anything. They even shut off his teleprompter. As we have just witnessed, aside from the 2 attempts and now what happened to Charlie Kirk, this is not the time to play nice. Until there's accountability, this will continue to happen. And there has been zero accountability. Who shut off the escalator? You all realize if something happens to him, that we will take us all right back to where we were in 2016 when they wanted Hillary installed, right? Protect this great man for the love of God. Yeah, don't care. Defund the UN until they have better goals and morals. Can the president stop the money? Well, I mean, there's another story that's interconnected. The Secret Service did find a bunch of crazy other shit going on with the the leftists. They think it's funny. They would think it's really funny if Melania fell and cracked her head or something. They would laugh and make jokes. Yeah. Here. Fuck it. We'll watch it again.
Fire things. We took red again. Are you going to cancel the meeting? You still believe in the UN? What's your message to countries recognizing Palestine?
President Trump, why did you cancel the meeting with Chuck Schumer?
And on the way up, stopped right in the middle. If the first lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless. And that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Yeah. How many presidents would call him out publicly like that? Not many, but it's good that he does. It's good that he does it. All right. Yeah. Here's a video. We saw this. I'm not going to play it again. We've seen it. Former Biden State Department echoed the same language today. I imagine one of the reasons the escalator stopped is because his administration has withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. So this is them laughing. They think it's funny. They think this is funny that this happened. They think this is a joke. It's not a joke. They just tried to injure the president of the United States. It's a fucking act of war.
On that escalator, and the escalator stopped. Well, I imagine one of the reasons that escalator stopped is because his administration has withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in funding over his first term in office and during the first 8 months or so of his current term to the UN. And the UN itself is falling apart on that escalator, and the escalator stopped. Well, I imagine.
So they think this is a joke. You know what I mean? They think this is a joke. It's not. It's not a joke. It was reported in the newspaper on Sunday, as I showed you earlier, that to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators. If people don't get fired and arrested, we should cut off all funding to the UN. We should cut off all funding to the UN anyway and just tell them to get the fuck out of our country. We don't need them. They don't do shit. They haven't done anything. They haven't protected any peace. They have done nothing. Mike Lee says, we do not need to pay the world to hate us if they'll do it for free. Pass the Defund Act and get the U.S. out of the UN. That's what I say. Here's the story. Look at this from the Times. Is Trump any closer to his Nobel Peace Prize? Why is this like this? We'll see at the UN. Allies are heading to the General Assembly asking whether America's a reliable partner. The risk for the president is that they will look elsewhere. Oh, look at that, they do. Look at Trump. Oh, look at that, what they do. Yeah. Not another damn motorcade will be the refrain from New Yorkers this week as the world leaders descend on Manhattan for the 80th session of the United Nations. Yeah, they need to investigate who had access to control the escalator, their acquaintances, financial records of both, social media activity, phone data. Yep, make an example. 100% make an example. Yeah, if you thought the USAID laundered money, that's pennies compared to the UN. Yeah. Yeah, one born and bred New Yorker who takes particular umbrage with the whole spectacle is Donald Trump, even if the president's motorcade will be the biggest of the lot. Yeah, so right here, so to the MAGA crowd, the UN represents much of what they hate. That's right, we hate them. We hate it. They see it as unwanted FDR legacy. Well, FDR, the UN was not FDR. The UN was Harry Truman. So it basically was after, because the League of Nations fell apart because basically it had no power. But the UN was Harry Truman. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Musk should put a poll on Twitter. Should we stop funding the UN? They consider Eleanor Roosevelt, who helped draft the Constitution, to be a communist. It was, because Eleanor Roosevelt, or said Franklin Delano Roosevelt coined the name United Nations to refer to wartime allies. So when he was talking about the allies, he called us United Nations. But so that doesn't mean, holy fuck. Well, at least the League of Nations couldn't force anybody to go to war. The United Nations can, because it has the Security Council. The League of Nations had no authority to commit any troops to anything. Or in one diplomat, the problem is that it ties Trump and the United States in the following rules. Oh, does it? So it says, trying to curtail the UN's influence, freezing funding, stopping U.S. engagement with Human Rights Council, and quitting UNESCO, cultural agency, and curtailing the list of those attending to deny Palestine President Mahmoud Abbas a visa. Oh, well, we don't give terrorist visas, so that's how that works. And to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators and elevators simply tell them they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs. The General Assembly is going to be a total shit show because of the Palestinian question, says an informal policy advisor to the president. I think we're at a point where the British Prime Minister and French President are caving to their populations on a left-wing basis based on information warfare. It's pathetic that Hamas is being rewarded for October 7th with diplomatic standing. Yeah, the UN let our enemies on Security Council with veto power. That's because, well, here's the thing. That's because at the formation, it was basically the Security Council. And why is France on the permanent? Why is France or Great Britain on the Permanent Security Council? Anyone? Because they were the major players. You know who should be on? Germany should have been. Germany's not. Russia is. I think China finally got on just recently, I think. But anyway, so that's that story. Yeah. Then we got this story right here. It says, today, the Secret Service announced it's dismantling a network of electronic devices located within 35 miles of the United Nations General Assembly used to carry out a wide range of telecommunication attacks. That's why. Anyone who has nukes is supposed to be on a Security Council. Used to carry out a wide range of the potential for disruption to our country's telecommunications posed by this network of devices cannot be overstated. The U.S. Secret Service protection mission is all about prevention, and this investigation makes it clear to potential bad actors that imminent threats to our protectees will be immediately investigated, tracked down, and dismantled. Yeah. So the question is, who put these things there?
Hello, my name is Matt McCool, and I'm the special agent in charge of the Secret Service New York field office. We are making this announcement as a matter of public.
This guy's name, McCool. His name is McCool, not McLovin, McCool.
Hello, my name is Matt McCool, and I'm the special agent in charge of the Secret Service New York field office. We are making this announcement as a matter of public interest given timing, amount, and concentration of material recovered during a recent Secret Service protective intelligence investigation. Following multiple telecommunications-related imminent threats directed towards senior U.S. government officials this spring, the U.S. Secret Service began a protective intelligence investigation to determine the extent and impact these threats could have on protective operations. This was a difficult and complex effort to identify the source of these fraudulent calls and the impact on the Secret Service protective mission. During this period, we leveraged technical assistance and support of federal partners, including Homeland Security Investigations, the Department of Justice, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. We also received phenomenal support from our state and local law enforcement partners, to include the NYPD. The investigation led us to the New York tri-state area, where investigators discovered tens of thousands of co-located and networked cellular devices capable of carrying out nefarious telecommunications attacks. These devices allowed anonymous encrypted communications between potential threat actors and criminal enterprises, enabling criminal organizations to operate undetected. This network had the potential to disable cell phone towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City. These devices were concentrated within 35 miles of the global meeting of the United Nations General Assembly, now underway in New York City. Given the timing, location, and proximity, and potential for significant disruptions to the New York telecom system, we moved quickly to disrupt this network. To be clear, these recovered devices no longer pose a threat to the New York tri-state area. We will continue working towards identifying those responsible and their intent, including whether their plan was to disrupt the UN General Assembly and communications of government and emergency personnel during the official visit of world leaders in and around New York City. Forensic examinations of the equivalent of 100,000 cell phones worth of data is underway. Early analysis indicates cellular communications between foreign actors and individuals that are known to federal law enforcement. Given the sensitivity and complexity of this investigation, we are not able to go into specifics at this time. This is an open and active investigation, and we have no arrest to announce today. Rather, this announcement is designed to safeguard critical infrastructure and responsibly provide the public what we can at this time. The Secret Service will continue to run down all leads until we fully understand the intent of the operation and identify those responsible.
All right, here's my problem. All right, yeah, this is the first you're seeing it because this just was released today. This was about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon is when I saw it, and I started pulling clips for it. My problem is, basically, they just told everybody that they got the stuff, so now they can start to cover their tracks. It would have been smarter to say, hey, we found these things, and somehow try to tie it back to the people who put them there. You know, trace it out, see who's using it. Do some, like, I don't know, actual investigation, not just go confiscate all the stuff and shut them off. At that point, you're not going to catch anybody. So it seems like they did this really backwards. You're in the area he's talking about? Yeah. I don't know. They said it's like a huge area. Like Doge says, the Secret Service just exposed a telecom nightmare. 300 plus SIM servers and 100,000 SIM cards primed to cripple New York City's networks during the UN summit. This wasn't some basement operation. It was a coordinated threat capable of collapsing cell towers and enabling encrypted comms between hostile actors. While federal agents shut it down, taxpayers should ask, how did this infrastructure proliferate undetected in the first place? Yeah, kind of odd. How did this happen? Oh, probably because we're using Chinese equipment. Maybe. Maybe all that Huawei stuff. Oh, what's this? Gundam Zig says, Candace has been a psycho since day ending in Y. I can see why TP USA slowly and low-key distance themselves. Thinking Crowder, how she got suckered. Fuck with that. Okay. Yeah, or not say anything and do some covert work. That would have been the smart thing to do. Yeah. The security and telecom is a joke. It is. It's a joke. He does have super big ears. Yes, he does. Yeah. And the UN's over here trying to kill Trump, and the Secret Service is out here fighting cell networks. Seems like there should have been another organization doing that, in my opinion. Hey, we've been going for an hour now. There's 120 people watching. I want to sort of tell everybody, thanks for being here. Please remember, hit that like button. It really does help with the algorithm. It helps the channel to grow. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do these shows almost every night. It's been, almost every night. The last, almost every night. 10 o'clock. You missed some words. Sorry again. DC pours billions into cybersecurity, yet nearly yet nearly let a single attack vector paralyze global diplomacy. Real security means proactive audits, not just reactive takedowns. Every dollar spent on mopping up these messes is a dollar stolen from rebuilding American infrastructure. Yeah. They might have already done the reconnaissance. Well, you know what? I hope so, Deb. I do. I hope so. Because if this is just something that they just discovered and then like, oh my God, we got to take it down. And then without figuring out what it was, your vacuum cleaner has a listening device. They all do. That's the thing. Like, and they don't, all of these, basically, I don't even know, like every solar panel that comes from China has a built-in kill switch that they can shut it off if China wants to. They found all the stuff. They found little cell receivers, little SIM card, little basically cell, like not 5G, so no one's worried. Just like LTE receivers in every one because they're super small. They don't need a lot of power. Mm-hmm. Yeah, memory hole. Remember the China charge that could steal a phone's internal info? Yeah, they had China was putting stuff into the chargers so that they would steal your shit, basically, because your charger plug is make the connection and they can put a little chip in there that was. So yeah, I mean, China is not our friend, and we need to figure it out fast. Mm-hmm. Here's from the Epoch Times. Secret Service dismantles electronic network posing threat to officials at the UN gathering. Agents found rows of servers and shelves stacked with more than 100,000 activated SIM cards at the site. Oh, look at this. Those look more like jammers to me with all those antennas. Don't those look like jammers? Huh. Mm-hmm. Secret Service dismantles electronic network posing threat. You were getting robocalls from New York. It sounded like a robo scam for tax relief. Maybe. Agents found rows of servers and shelves stacked with more than 100,000 activated SIM cards at the site. Uh, 400 Koreans in Georgia just got deported from a car plant. Total bullshit. Well, okay. What do you mean? It's bullshit they were there working, or it's bullshit they got deported? Because none of those people that were there working had visas to work in the United States. They came on visa waivers, which mean they were here for visiting. They weren't supposed to be working. They weren't authorized to work in the U.S. So they broke the law. So did the company that had them come and do the work, broke the law. It's because instead of hiring actual electricians in the U.S. that do electrical work in the U.S., they brought electricians from Korea in to work at a fraction of the cost. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a picture, shows what it looks like. Secret Service dismantled a network of electronic devices located throughout New York tri-state area that were used to conduct anonymous threats against senior U.S. government officials. Where are we at here? Yeah. You have a cell phone, Big Brother, here's everything. Yeah. What's this say? John Zanexis wrote an article ages ago about a talk with a former coder friend. He said it would be easy to build physical backdoor on chips that could only be caught in two ways. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was subcontractors doing construction and hired them. It was subcontractors that brought the people from Korea to do the work. And they told them, don't worry about it. Just come you can come for 90 days on a visitor visa and just work and no one will know. And they were paying them. They can't, though. That's against the law. Like if you have somebody, you have to have a special visa to come here to work. You can't just like say, oh, you're here for business or pleasure. I think you're here for business or pleasure. Even if you get a business visa to come for business, that does not authorize you to work in the U.S. You can conduct business in the U.S., like make a business deal, do consulting or something like that. You can't do physical labor, waged work, hourly. You cannot work in the U.S. Only U.S. citizens or people authorized by the U.S. government can work inside the U.S. Just it's the way it is. It's the way it is in every country. Go to some other country. Go take a trip to Italy or take a trip to Australia or Mexico or somewhere as a just as a as a visitor for like vacation travel, and then decide to go try to get a job somewhere and see what happens. Yeah, physical check every IC against the OG design, expensive when a backdoor went active, was super fun when this was around the military pushing COTS on digital hardware and chip. Yeah. Devices sort more than 300 co-located SIM servers and 100,000 SIM cards spread across multiple sites were discovered and concentrated within 35 miles of the global meeting of the UN General Assembly. World leaders, including Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Zelensky, are all expected to speak at the event. The devices present an imminent threat to Secret Service protective operations and could have been used to conduct a wide range of telecommunications attacks, such as disabling cell towers, enabling denial of service attacks, and facilitating encrypted communication between potential threat actors. Oh, what? Yeah. Remember, China is asshole. Yeah. We give money to agents to buy gas stations and liquor stores. Yeah. We still have this thing that was set up back in the 80s. Which one other thing Reagan set up that I was not. I think it was Reagan. I'm pretty sure it was Reagan that set this up. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's when I remember it starting, is the 80s. So maybe it was before that, where they would come, and then for 7 years, someone could come here and open a business, and then for 7 years, they wouldn't have to pay taxes on the business. And what they would do is just keep passing it to different family members that when the 7 years was getting ready to expire, and then it got to reset for another 7 years. That's why you would see like there was a bunch of like 7-Elevens, Dunkin' Donuts, gas stations, things like that were all bought up by mainly Indians and Pakistanis. Yeah, it's called a way of work authorization visa, hard to get, takes years. Yeah. And very expensive. Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah. It said the Secret Service protective mission is all about prevention, and this investigation makes it clear to potential bad actors that imminent threats to our protectees will be immediately investigated, tracked down, and dismantled. This investigation remains ongoing, with initial examination of these devices pointing to a nation-state threat actor and individuals who are known to federal law enforcement. So they're saying they know who these people are. So we're going to see arrests. They still do it? They still do that? I don't know. Epoch Times reached out to Secret Service for more information, but they didn't say anything because New York Police Department's assisting with the investigation and other law enforcement partners. It can't be understated that the system is capable of doing, said Matt McCool. His name is McCool, special agent in charge of the Secret Service's New York field office. It can take down cell towers so people can no longer communicate. You can't text message. You can't use your cell phone. And if you couple that with a sort of other event associated with the General Assembly, use your imagination. It could be catastrophic to the city. What did Bella try to warn you about? What do you mean? Officials said that they haven't uncovered a direct plot to disrupt the UN and noted there are no credible threats to New York City. Agents found rows of search. Well, what were they doing? They were just hanging out? Sounds like a made-up Fed I recover name. Yeah. Undercover name, Mr. McCool. Described the operation as well-funded, highly organized, one that cost millions of dollars in hardware and SIM cards alone. The operation had the capability of sending up to 30 million text messages a minute. I mean, I guess what you could do, the very scary part is that they could have this could have been coupled with like an attack, like an actual physical attack on the president or the UN or somebody else, or somebody could have been like Iran or something like that, if you want to go that way, or Russia, somebody trying to basically, or China trying to take out somebody. And if they can take out all the cell services, then no communication go out, and basically like no one can make phone calls, and basically, it would be a major problem. And it says, following the Kirk assassination, the U.S. has increased security funding for members. Oh, wait, this is a different story. All right. Secret Service dismantles. Well, stop. Illicit telecom threat in New York City before General Assembly, where Trump will speak. Could have blacked out cell service and jammed 911 calls in New York City. SIM cards tied to foreign governments. Huh. I think it could also, I think it could also spy on phones and stuff. It was basically like mini cell towers, I think, is what they were doing. So like bogus cell towers. They've been finding those, if I'm not mistaken, other cameras and stuff all over California, like Southern California, that the cartels have been putting up, basically like fake, like streetlight cams and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? And Secret Service announced Tuesday they disrupted the telecom threat near the United Nations. They released a video Tuesday morning. McCool, we saw that. Early analysis indicates cellular communication between foreign actors and individuals that are known to federal law enforcement. Okay, who are these people? Why aren't they under arrest? If they're known to federal law enforcement and they're communicating with foreign actors, sounds like you arrest them for terrorism or you arrest them for espionage or something. Yeah, it's kind of no announcement. Yeah, we saw that. AP, green scam at UN. So this is Trump assails the ethos of climate change. So this is going to be Trump is talking shit about climate change at the UN, which was good. Some countries' leaders are watching rising seas threatening to swallow their homes. The seas are not rising. They haven't rose shit. Others are watching their citizens die in floods, hurricanes, and heat waves, all exacerbated by climate change. Or shit. But the world U.S. President Trump described in his speech on Tuesday didn't match the one many world leaders in the audience are contending with. No, everything that they're doing with climate change is all about control. It has nothing to do with the climate at all. It's all bullshit. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion, Trump said. Awesome. I love my president. All these predictions made by the United Nations, many others often for bad reasons, were wrong. They're made by stupid people that have their costs of their country's fortune and given the same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country's going to fail. We have a story about that, too, a little later in the show. I think we're going to get to it because we've been doing really good. Of a $2.2 billion solar experiment in the Mojave Desert that they had to shut down because it was just losing too much money. Trump has long been a critic of climate scam science, policies aimed at helping the world transition to shit that don't work from stuff that does work. His speech Tuesday, however, was one of his most expansive to date. It included statements and making connections between things that are connected. I'm not going to let them call it a false statement because who the fuck are they? Ilana Syed, the ambassador from the island nation of Palau and head of the Organization of Small Island States, was in the audience, and she said what they've come to expect from Trump in the United States. She said it's not acting on climate change will be a betrayal to the most vulnerable. Yeah. Yeah, wasn't the Maldives underwater by 2020? Yeah. None of this stuff has happened. It's a fear campaign. It's right. It's just seas are rising. That's why Obama's and all these other people bought oceanside mansions. Yeah. Al Gore invented the internet just to tell us that the man bear pig was going to get you. A climate scientist who has published more than 40 studies and has a doctorate. Climate change disasters are personal. A vice chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the world's top body on climate science, which basically just exists to say there's a climate change problem, give us more money so we can tell you there's a climate change problem so you can give us more money because there's a climate change problem. It's a big scam. Hurricane Sandy hit the Caribbean and New York, said Trump was speaking from in 2012. Okay, hurricanes hit all the time. Millions of people around the world can testify to devastation that climate change. That's bullshit. That's called you're making a correlation that has no definite causation. Oh, it's a lived. Wind power is a joke and pathetic. Solar and wind are now almost always the least. No, it's not. All right, we're done with this. I'm not reading this story. It's all a bunch of bullshit. here. And then you got MSDNC shamefully criticizes President Trump for his UN speech. Just pay attention to the language they use, okay? Over the course of the 56 minutes, you heard the president there do a great deal of self-promotion and pushing of American nationalism. So we have a United States propaganda network, basically, that is a propaganda network against the United States interests, a globalist propaganda network that's attacking the president of the United States for being a champion of American nationalism. Like, that's the fucking president's entire job. American nationalism, the nation, to protect the nation. I mean, holy shit.
Over the course of that 56 minutes, you heard the president there do a great deal of self-promotion and the pushing of American nationalism, saying, I have the highest poll numbers I've ever had. I'm right about everything. We are the hottest country in the world, and no other country is even close. That he had built the greatest economy in the history of the world in his first term, and this time it's even bigger and better. He suggested he should receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He also made it clear that his global relationships are predicated on one very key thing, quote, I only do business with people I like. He blasted repeatedly the very global institution to which he just spoke, noting that the escalator he rode on with his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, stopped halfway up on his way to the General Assembly Hall. He noted repeatedly the bad teleprompter that stopped working, was on and off again. He noted that years ago, he should have been the one awarded the contract to renovate the UN headquarters, and that the other contractor ultimately produced a far inferior product. And he then asked, quote, what is the purpose of the United Nations? It has such potential, not coming even close. He also boasted about the U.S.'s right to nuclear weapons, but not others that he suggested pose threats. Notably, Iran, which is a member of the United Nations, he noted that many of Iran's military commanders at the hands of the United States, a great many of them are now dead, and that they no longer pose a nuclear threat. When it came to Russia, he went on to suggest that Russia is clearly not ready to make a deal, but the U.S. is fully prepared to impose a strong round of tariffs that would stop the bloodshed, though he noted that it's going to be incumbent on European nations to do more to break their ties into any reliance on natural gas and oil coming from Russia. Essentially, he's made this threat for months now, and he just redoubled down on the threat, but did not announce any new sanctions on Russia.
Wow, that's crazy, ain't it? That's just nuts. I mean, you think they would have said something like, oh, someone tried to kill the president or hurt the president and his wife? They shut the escalator off, did all this stuff, which could have caused, what if, he's in his 70s. What if he would have fell and hit his head on the escalator and split his head open and died? You'd think that would have been the lead story instead of saying he's out here championing American nationalism. Like, that's a bad thing. I mean, I know because they loved Obama, and Obama went around saying how much America sucked and needs to be like the rest of the world and do what the rest of the world wants because that's the president they liked. But, that's not America. America leads from the front. And if you don't follow, we get run you over. And here's another example of that. You got CBS tells Secretary of State Rubio that the U.S. should take it easy on the drug traffickers. Don't let the drug traffickers, be easy on them. Let them do what they want.
Okay, two more topics. You mentioned intercepting rather than shooting down the Russian jets. It brings up in my mind the question of what to do with these alleged drug boats coming from Venezuela. Very worthy goal, stopping the illegal flow of drugs into the U.S. I think the question a lot of people have, as the U.S. has exploded 3 boats now in international waters, why not just stop them and board them to stop the flow of drugs?
Because interdiction doesn't work. You want to stop these drug cartels, you have to make clear to them they're not going to get their boats here. Interdiction, they don't care about losing a boat. They don't care about losing some drugs. They've already factored that into their business model. What will stop them completely is that they know if they go out there, they're not going to make the journey. Look, this is an imminent, immediate threat to the United States. If you tell me there's a boat full of drugs headed towards the United States, to drop off drugs here and poison our people. That's as big a threat as if some, country was coming in to attack an American city. It needs to be stopped. The way it's been handled in the past hasn't worked. And boy, let me tell you something. You're not seeing nearly as many boats right now as you were a couple weeks ago. So it has worked and will continue to work. And the president's very simple. He is not going to continue to allow these drug cartels to flood America with poisonous drugs that are killing our people indefinitely.
Mr. Secretary, as I hear you.
Yeah, see? Suck on that. Mm-hmm. And here, someone sent me this clip. I just want to play. It's kind of an interlude here. It says, President Trump just sent a veiled threat to ABC after they lied to him about Jimmy Kimmel being canceled. He's yet another arm of the DNC, and to the best of my knowledge, would have been a major illegal campaign contribution. Last time I went on after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. Yeah, I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that the show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. Well, what happened was there was a bunch of threats and there was a shooting that happened. Somebody went and shot up an ABC station, and the guy just happened to have been a lawyer for the teachers union in California. And so the California Democrats, because he's a big Democrat dude, they just kind of said, all right, it's nonviolent. Go ahead. No one got hurt. Get out of here. Have a nice day. And then the FBI went and picked him up because, well, you can't shoot up the television station. That's actually terrorism because it's a telecommunications network. And so, yeah, drugs are undefeated. Yeah, they're going to win. But, what are you going to do? So it says right here. And why would they want someone back who is doing so poorly, who's not funny and puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? He is another arm of the DNC, and to my best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution. Yeah, I think his first guest tonight is supposed to be Gavin Newsom too. Newscum. Which also we have a story we're going to get to a little later, that Gavin Newsom, while everyone was paying attention to the Charlie Kirk stuff, Gavin Newsom signed a new law basically to give them the right to fine and go after people for misinformation online. So all this stuff about Trump and the First Amendment, they're yelling at him and they're yelling all this stuff about Jimmy Kimmel. Gavin Newsom signed a law in California that let him go after Google, Facebook, Twitter, if someone posts something false on there. Yeah. Yeah, it was a PR stunt, definitely. But the problem is, I don't think it was. I think it turned into that because there was threats. Yeah, it's not legal. You're right. It's not. What Gavin Newsom signed is not legal, but they're going to try it, and people are going to have to fight about it. Yeah. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A total bunch of losers. Well, this is cool. That's cool. And then also we got this is Trump designates Barrio 18 as a foreign terrorist organization, joining Tren de Aragua and Mariscuchas 13 and others. The U.S. State Department has designated the Barrio 18 street gang as a foreign terrorist organization, expanding Washington's campaign against transnational gangs and cartels. Well, they get to decide what misinformation is, which is got another good story coming up here in a second. Today's Department of State is designating Barrio 18 as a foreign terrorist organization, specifically designated global terrorist, SDGT. Specially designated global terrorists. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a September 23rd statement. Rubio called Barrio 18 one of the largest gangs in our hemisphere, saying it's carried out attacks against security forces, officials, and civilians in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and pledged to cut off the group's funding streams, calling the move part of Trump administration's unwavering commitment to dismantling cartels and gangs and ensuring the safety of the American people. Wow. That sucked. Yeah, whatever they don't like is misinformation. Sucker. That's right. Designation of Barrio 18 as a FTO has several implications. First, it makes it a federal crime to provide material support to the gang, freezes any assets it may hold under U.S. jurisdiction, and bars its members from entering the United States. It gives law enforcement broader tools to prosecute and disrupt its activities. Hey, Jay Swaback, what's up, buddy? How you doing? So nice to see you. We got some really good stories going tonight. I hope you stick around for a while. Well, we've been going an hour and a half, so I think I'll say it again. So yes, everyone who's new here, if you haven't been here before, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We could see somebody already donated made a donation large enough to activate Bellavision, and we already hit the first goal of 1 extra hour. And right now we are about $70 away. Yes, right now we are $70 away from a second additional hour. If anyone was interested in that, making the show go longer, we've got a bunch of good stories coming, and I'm trying to get through them faster. That way, people get what they pay for. Barrio 18 has been active in LA since at least the 1960s, according to the Justice Department. And unlike many rivals, it recruits across nationalities, fueling rapid growth. Its relationship with Mara Salvatrucha, or MS-13, turned violent in the late 80s. The feud spread across Central America after mass deportations from the United States and remains a defining feature of both gangs. Oh yeah, I forgot to say so. Yeah, and that for the goal, the money for the goal and all that stuff is across all platforms: YouTube, super chats, memberships, gifted memberships, Rumble rants, Rumble memberships, locals, Cash App, PayPal. So I got to work on that and get it a little better. Yeah. Hated of the Barrio 18 is the glue that holds MS-13 together. Hatred of the Barrio 18. Researchers wrote in a study describing the rivalry as the gang central to the gang's identity. Yes, and so that's the guy. If you guys remember the Maryland man, Abrego Garcia. He couldn't go back to Guatemala because he was involved in the murder of a Barrio 18 gang member's mother or something like that. So, and that's why he had, couldn't go back there because they would kill him or something. That's what he said anyway. And they were doing something to his mom's pupusa. Anyway, so the two gangs have long battled for territory in Central America. In January, MS-13 gunmen stormed the funeral of a Barrio 18 member in Guatemala, killing at least 7 people and wounding 13. Both groups extort civilians, transport workers and shopkeepers, often killing those who refuse to pay. MS-13 was formed in Los Angeles in the 80s by the Salvadoran immigrants fleeing civil war and has since spread across Central America. Now, I wonder, this is just me wondering out loud here, because there was a bunch of, if you guys know the story of Freeway Ricky Ross and about the CIA bringing crack to LA, that was through these gangs. This was through El Salvador. That was the civil war in El Salvador of the Sandinistas versus the Contras. And I'm wondering now if this MS-13 wasn't the gang that was formed to sell the drugs, because they were, all through California. That was basically the drugs were coming through El Salvador and then coming up here. And if you saw if you ever saw the pictures that were used, that a guy by the name of Ollie North posted in Congress that exposed government officials in El Salvador and Panama and somewhere else, maybe it was, and Bolivia, working with Pablo Escobar. The pictures that were taken on a plane being flown by Mr. McPickle and Barry Seal. All this stuff is interconnected. So, just makes you wonder, did the United States start this gang? Is this another thing of something that the United States caused, basically like we did with the Tom Cruise movie, but like we did with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, where we did all that stuff in the 70s? Is this something else that we caused? I don't know. Hey, what's up, peeps? Julio Scissors, how's it going? You were wondering the same thing, Pat? Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm just out here wondering aloud. Yep, Freeway Ricky Ross. And so President Trump has repeatedly called the gang evil and vowed its destruction. In 2020, the Justice Department announced terrorism charges against MS-13 leaders for the first time. On his first day back in office, Trump signed an executive order creating a process for designating international cartels as terrorist organizations. The order said such groups have engaged in a campaign of violence and terror throughout the Western Hemisphere, destabilizing key U.S. partners and flooding American communities with deadly drugs. Yeah, we can all be the Bella Gang. Yeah, this will be our calling card. Oh, wrong thing. Never mind. Following Trump's order, the State Department in February designated several groups as terrorist organizations under that process, including Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels, Cartel del Nordeste, La Nueva Familia Mexicana, Cartel del Golfo, and Carteles Unidos. In July, the U.S. Treasury Department added Venezuela's Cartel de las Soles to its terrorism list, accusing the country's president Nicolás Maduro and senior officials of leading the group in aiding cartels that threaten U.S. security. We could be the mad cows, yeah, spreading the disease.
With the U.S. government, TikTok will be owned by a majority of American.
Oh, that's a TikTok thing. So U.S. tags 18th Street Gang as terrorist groups. 18th Street Gang, yeah. Like, and that's the two. Remember the movie Colors? It was the two wands. Hey, bro, two wands. Remember that? Yeah. I don't know if I can join another cult gang. I'll have to check with the dear leader. Okay, we'll check it out. More cowbells? Well, the way to get more cowbells is to get more. And then you get more. Like its rival, Barrio 18 is one of the largest gangs in our hemisphere and has conducted attacks against security personnel. Yeah, we read all this stuff. So, President Trump has used a terrorist organization against MS-13 and TDA, speed deportations. Yeah, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with this. It's good to see. All right. Now, well, if you guys remember all the hubbub and all these people running around saying how, all this stuff that happened with Jimmy Kimmel was somehow Trump's fault and the government censorship and everything, and this is the worst censorship in the world. Well. Top Biden staffer Rob Flaherty admitted they encouraged social media companies to censor speech they disagreed with. This was funded by your tax dollars. That's right, your tax dollars. There was zero outrage from the Democrats and the mainstream media. Ready? Here we go.
Social media companies make editorial decisions at the scale of hundreds of millions per second. They decide what content gets shown to whom and in what order. My office encouraged those companies to exercise that editorial discretion to avoid spreading inaccurate information, particularly related to the ongoing pandemic. Social media companies make editorial decisions at the scale of hundreds.
See, he admitted it. Feels like some people are owed some massive paydays stolen from them. Yeah. Rob Flaherty's censorship push under the Biden administration was textbook government overreach, using taxpayer dollars to strong-arm big tech into silencing dissent. The Restoring American Freedom Act exists precisely to block this abuse, banning State Department funds from funding censorship tools or blacklists. Flaherty's emails prove bureaucrats weaponize misinformation fears to crush debate, even targeting factual content like Tucker Carlson's vaccine reporting. Dems stayed silent because it serves their narratives. Imagine the meltdown if a Trump aide did this. The media hypocrisy is completely predictable. No, this is not a cult. No tracksuits are involved yet. You were censored on Facebook for 3 years for posting that Fauci knew about the efficacy, lethality of the Petri dish mask. Yeah, well. Hey, Fran VT, what's up? Hi, nice to see you again. Transparency isn't optional. Every dollar wasted on silencing Americans is theft, and it's time to enforce the law, audit every grant, and hold enablers accountable. That's right. Enablers must be held accountable. The receipts are public, so who enabled the censorship machine? See who enabled the censorship machine. Right here, it's a big win for freedom. Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. Today, thanks to the oversight chairman, Jim Jordan, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off of YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as COVID-19 and elections an opportunity to return to the platform. This is a massive problem, I think, because I think there should be some lawyers right now gearing up massive lawsuits. Because say you were a person that was making thousands of dollars a week or a month, or some people are making thousands of dollars a day, and they kicked you off for this, I think you have a lawsuit for lost wages, for lost earnings. Google also admitted the following to the Senate House Judiciary Committee. The Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. The Biden administration's censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Would someone say that was authoritarian? Was that something that an authoritarian tyrant would do, is pressure people to silence their opponents or people they disagreed with? Where's all these people out that were just running around with their hair on fire about Jimmy Kimmel getting taken off the air by ABC saying anything about this? And public debate should never come at the expense of relying on authorities. The company will never use third-party fact checkers again. That's right. Google is done with third-party fact checkers. Like, nope, not doing it. We're not checking facts. Yeah. Harmeet needs to give Google execs athlete scalp. I think I know what you're saying. Europe's censorship laws target American companies that threaten American speech, including the removal of lawful content. These major omissions come after Chairman Jordan's subpoena to Google and a years-long investigation into the company. That's right. And also, there was massive lawsuits about this stuff, if you guys remember. The Twitter files, all that stuff came out. I mean, I hate to break it to you people, but we all, no matter what you feel, or anyone might have feelings, sore feelings or upset feelings with Elon Musk, we all owe him a debt of gratitude. Because if he didn't buy Twitter and expose what was going on and let people speak freely, Trump probably wouldn't have won. None of this would be getting exposed. We wouldn't know. We'd all be, well, Jimmy Kimmel's back on, so my TV gets turned off. Well, he's not back on anywhere that Sinclair or Nexstar has their affiliates, because they refuse to put him back on. I'll believe Google is serious about stopping it when we can stop using coded speech like rape and unalive. Until then, it's just more BS. I don't have an answer for that. I don't. I mean, I want to see serious changes. I really do. Something has to change. It really does. We can't keep living like this. You joined the class action suit years ago. Well, this might give it some legs, Rachel. This might actually give it some legs. If is a big word. Yeah. So the fact that my reputation was allowed to be slandered, that I was not able to defend myself, is all okay. It's in the past, a new day, except it isn't. I can never get back the ability to defend myself during the period against those attacks. Those attacks are still used daily by Google on their search engine. By the way, I'm still permanently banned from LinkedIn. I'm not alone, but not only was I censored, others were allowed carte blanche to defame me, including gang stalking, often paid for by the Foundation for the CDC. Wow. That Robert Malone has got an awesome lawsuit. And here's Cernovich. Google owes us all damages for what their censorship cost us. A quick, we're sorry now that they're in trouble, isn't going to cut it. Their censorship costs us millions. Yeah. Here's Jim Jordan. He's out here, taking a bow, basically. Due to our oversight, I don't know if you guys noticed either, but since I started talking about this with Google, my count has plummeted with people that were watching. So I'm just saying, I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know if it's just, whatever, but we went from having almost 130 people watching now to under 110. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, so due to our oversight efforts, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations to return to the platform. Yeah. So YouTube hates you and you pay them to do it. Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah. They definitely do. So here's the thread, and we have this letter. I'm going to pull. I have the actual letter. I'm going to pull it up in a second, but this is the letter. We're going to pull it up. We're just going to right here. Here, we can pull up the letter. Here's the letter that Google sent them. You know, from their lawyers King and Spalding. Oh, I wonder if Spalding related to Spalding from Caddyshack. But statement of facts is submitted on behalf of our client Alphabet Inc. and its subsidiary YouTube. Collectively, Alphabet are the company in response to subpoenas. Throughout the committee's investigations, Alphabet has provided responsive information to the committee to fulfill its oversight responsibilities, producing internal records and providing extensive testimony, including more than 40 sets of responsive documents and all voluntary participation in 20 executives in the transcribed interviews. You joined RFK and John Stockton's lawsuit against the Secretary of State Ferguson and Washington governor over their COVID policies. Good. Yeah, you'll get nothing and like it. Everything would be different. Yeah. Beep, bop, boop. You're all bots. Yeah. Well, at least hit the like button if you're a bot, please. It'd be nice. You know, let's see. You got 78 likes and 120 people watching. That's we could do better. We could do better. Get them likes up, people. Come on. Come on. Alphabet is a collection of businesses. Yes, the company is committed to doing its part to keep the digital ecosystem safe, reliable, and open to free expression. As a result, Alphabet has a natural long-term business incentive to apply and develop its policies consistently, impartially, and independently. The COVID-19 pandemic was an unprecedented time in which online platforms had to reach decisions about how to best balance freedom and expression with responsibility, including responsibility with respect to the moderation of user-generated content that could result in real-world harm. You sure hope Susan W. is enjoying her retirement a lot less this week? I think she's dead. I'm pretty sure she died. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe it was her son? Maybe. I don't know. You wouldn't want to work for YouTube, to be honest. She's dead, right? She died. I thought she died. Her and her son both died? Okay. I think her son died first, and then she died or something from too many COVID shots or something. I don't know. I was at the Walgreens today picking up a prescription. There was people in there that said, "We're here for our COVID booster." What? Yes, we need our booster. We need our booster. Give us our booster. These people are, man, what is wrong with them? Oof. It's unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how a company moderates content, and the company has consistently fought against those efforts on First Amendment grounds. Senior Biden officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, Biden administration officials continued to press the company to remove non-volatile user-generated content. Wow. I have never taken any COVID shots. Yeah, boosters equals National Selection Network. Yeah. I got COVID like in the summer, like June, July of 2020, and it sucked for a couple days, and then it was over, and then I never had it again. Why would I get a booster shot? Or why would I get a shot for something that I have natural immunity to? That's how it works. You get something like any sickness you get, your body builds immunity to it. These shots are actually, I don't know. I don't want to, anyway. These shots, my opinion are these shots are actually doing more harm than good. That's my opinion. YouTube's mission to give everyone a voice and show them the world every day. YouTube builds and improves tools and systems called unnatural selection. Yeah. YouTube's content model. YouTube takes seriously the importance of protecting free expression and access to a range of viewpoints. YouTube's community guidelines and terms of service apply equally to all users. Well, I don't believe that, because if the bigger they are, you guys kind of, huge channels kind of get a pass. Yeah. Susan W. was a 304 who started the adpocalypse against Crowder and then went heavy on election and woofoo content. Ding dong, that bitch is dead. Yeah, well, it is what it is, man. The whole. Does anyone see Randy Weingart's new book she's pushing? Why fascists hate teachers, talking about toning down. Yeah, that's crazy. It was a couple days ago I had that story. The company has transparently evolved its policy framework related to COVID-19 to ensure space for further debate and discussion. YouTube never had community guidelines prohibiting discussion of the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, and publicly announced in 2023, YouTube ended several COVID-19 content policies. As of December 2024, YouTube retired the remaining standalone COVID policies that allowed discussion of various treatments for COVID-19. Wow. On key issues of medical content, YouTube policies continue to evolve in line with dynamic environment. Health authorities have changed their guidance over time, and Alphabet's policy have evolved as well. YouTube's current approach allows a wide range of content regarding COVID-19 and elections. While the reliance on health authorities in this context was well-intentioned, the company recognized it should never come at the expense of public debate on these important issues. Yeah, no shit. YouTube continues to enable diversity of perspectives. YouTube sunsetted a policy that allowed for discussion of possible widespread fraud and errors or glitches occurring in the 2020 and past U.S. elections. So now you can talk about the widespread fraud in the election and the glitches. You can talk about that where Biden somehow is Google and Meta are both liberal. I mean, they started out as libertarian, like all the original tech people were libertarians, but then it just, because of where it is in San Francisco, it eventually just goes. Randy Weingarten is that Butch Teachers Union person. YouTube blocked this. The vax doesn't stop you from getting or transmitting, but it does mask symptoms. All it did was create super spreaders. Still censoring chats, Muppets. Well, what are you gonna do? Ooh, let's see. In contrast to other large platforms, YouTube has not operated a fact-checking program that identifies and compensates fact-checking partners to produce content to support moderation. YouTube has not and will not empower fact-checkers to take action on or label content across the company's servers. Well, that's funny, because anytime I do anything that mentions climate change, I get a warning on the video saying, go here to check out the real info on climate change, and they take you to the fucking UN. So the company terminated channels for repeatedly violating community guidelines on YouTube election integrity content in 2023 and COVID content through 2024. Today, community guidelines allowed for a wider range of content regarding COVID-19 and election integrity. Reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies that are no longer in effect. Is Jim working for liberals? Is there not another platform we should use? Well, here's the thing. I am using other platforms. Okay? Right now, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Locals. I am on X. I am on Rumble. But believe it or not, YouTube is the place where I get the most views and the most interaction. So I don't know if as soon as somewhere else, I'm on Rumble, but I don't get, I started the YouTube channel and the Rumble channel at the same exact time. I have 10 times I get 10 times the number of views and interactions and stuff on YouTube. So I don't know, I mean, I hear a lot of people saying, the Rumble numbers are fake. The Rumble numbers are this and that. I don't know how that could be true, because I get way better numbers on YouTube than I do on Rumble. So is the YouTube numbers fake? Are we being used? I don't know. I'm basically I'm using them, in my opinion. I'm using YouTube. I'm like the ghost in the machine at YouTube. Diggers welcome in the ghetto. Yeah, yes they are. So, they're worried about getting regulated too. That's why they're doing this, because they're worried about something cracking down hard on them. They're worried about losing Section 230, which definitely could happen if they continue to play these games. They can say, well, why? If you're going to crack down on all these people and you're basically pretending that you guys are publishers when you're not, or you're saying you're not public. You're acting like you're the speaker, not the publisher or whatever. So. Yeah, Crowder is streaming again on YouTube. Rumble is not enough. It's not, I mean, these Rumble offered a bunch of people big money. They were paying people huge money to come and stream on Rumble and to try and grow. But, only the only people that I think are making money on Rumble is like maybe Viva might be making money, but he's got a contract where they pay him and what's his name? Russell Brand. Should have already lost what? Section 230. Okay, yeah. The committee has taken important investigative steps to highlight the onerous obligations under laws such as the Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act may stifle innovation and restrict access to information. Yeah, plus Google and these companies want the U.S. government to step in and protect them from the Europeans who basically think they're going to tell us what we can say here, which ain't going to happen. Who owns? No one owns me. Nobody puts baby in a corner. So this guy said this. So that's the letter. And here's from Newsmax. It says Google says Biden administration pressured it to censor YouTube. Wow. What's with this? Man. You think they're more scared of Europe than they are of our own government? Well, because Europe, they're fat. They're like some straight up commies over there. They'll try to take the company basically and fine them. Like Trump had to step in, if I'm not mistaken, over they were trying to fine Apple like $1 billion or something. Same thing with Facebook, like trying to fine them all this money. It's like these are American companies. What do you think you're doing? You can't be fining American companies. You don't have no authority to fine American companies. You got Canada trying to do shit too, trying to force YouTube and different companies to do stuff. I mean, that's why Rumble was originally in Canada, and it had to get out of Canada just because there was no way it was going to survive in Canada with Canada's rules. Rumble seems like a secret, well kept, no ads on TV, radio, and other places, so it's word of mouth. It seems what happened was because of what they did to Parler after the election, after January 6th. That's why it's been very hard for. Let's see. Hold on. We're gonna listen to this
because it is leveling the playing field for. So this matters for everyday Americans because it is leveling the playing field for online search, and it's giving back Americans control over their data. To level set, this is a case, as you said, it was brought by Trump 45. It was litigated over the past several years, and we're just finishing the race with Trump 47 and proud to do it. And what the case has done is a couple of things. First, the judge has acknowledged that online search competition has been frozen in place for a couple of decades now. As you said, they have a very high market share, and it's been persistent for a long time. And so the digital defrosting starts today with this opinion.
Right.
The judge has also recognized that data is the oil of online markets. And so a lot of the remedies that he's proposing are remedies that we put forward, and they're around this business of unlocking data so that rival companies can thrive and compete with Google. And so we're really pleased about that.
Okay.
We are
Let me
disappointed
just
that
jump
it's
in.
not happening fast enough. Please
Yes.
go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask you just because I want people at home to understand what we're talking about. I saw one estimate that said that when it comes to search, just going to Google and searching something, Google controls 91%. I know we're saying 85% in the lawsuit. 91% is just an unbelievable number. Do you expect future legal action against Google?
Well, we already have in place a separate court case that's playing out in Virginia that's going to trial again 2 weeks from now. And that case is about this business of serving ads online and the technology stack behind that. And that's going into a remedies phase shortly after this search case is going to be wrapped up. And so we're looking forward to putting that trial on as well.
Okay. And when does that start again? I'm sorry if I just missed it.
That'll start actually later this month.
Okay.
So they're
Wow.
pretty
So
close
immediately.
in together.
How much
Yes.
have these companies targeted conservative media? Because I wasn't even aware of this, like up until a couple of years ago.
So what we say is because Google has had a gatekeeper status, both in online search as well as this technology stack, it's been standing in the way of conservative media and access to consumers and eyeballs, and as well to advertising dollars, which is, of course, critically important to the thriving news environment.
Right.
And so we say that this.
So I think this is another reason why it's happening, because of this lawsuit and what happened here. So it says Google confessed that the administration of Joe Biden pressed the tech giant to censor content that the government felt they didn't like, basically. The parent company urged those counterculture voices to rejoin if they were kicked off. They're like, come back. So it's possible, too, that maybe Google is noticing that they're losing some share of people to Rumble, like of broadcasters. I don't know. And that they abandoned the rules. And so their attorney shared a shocking admission while speaking to the Judiciary Committee that the Biden administration created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platform based on their concerns regarding misinformation. What about Mr. Information or Mrs. Information? The senior Biden officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content. Well, what about all the FBI? Wasn't there like 80 FBI agents that were embedded in these different companies to tell them, like, oh no, look at this. What are you doing there? Can we sue Joe now? Well, there is a lawsuit, actually. It's the Louisiana and Missouri lawsuit against the government over this exact stuff. I thought they won, and I think that's tied up in appeals right now. The Biden administration continued to press the company to remove non-volative user-generated content. Several members of the current Trump administration had videos pulled on topics that covered COVID-19, including Deputy Director Dan Bongino and White House Counterterrorism Chief Sebastian Gorka. Whatever they're losing to Rumble doesn't come close to the potential damage they may need to pay and lost income to creators. It's probably going to go to arbitration. There's probably some like when you sign up to be a creator or the partner program or whatever, there's probably some language in there about arbitration or something. So who knows? And this is Yahoo News right here. Look at this. Yahoo News. Yahoo News. This is the Yahoo News sticking it to Google. It says, Google admits censorship pressure from Biden amid pledges to reinstate YouTube accounts. This was unacceptable and wrong, the company stated. Mediaite has it. Google admits to Congress that Biden administration pressed YouTube to censor misinformation. So now what kind of government censors information? What kind of government silences dissent? What kind of government takes away people's ability to earn money because they disagree with them politically? Well, that would be what? A totalitarian government, right? An authoritarian government, a communist, fascistic government. So that's what the Biden administration was. Everyone needs to wake up and acknowledge that the Biden administration was a totalitarian, authoritarian government that targeted its political opponents, silenced them, tried to put people in jail, trying to put 1,600 people in jail for protesting, for going to the government, asking for a redress of their grievances. I mean, it's nuts. It says SpewTube just buys people off. Just wait until the next demon rat administration comes and big tech goes back to censoring people harder than before. Pray Rumble et al. Still exists. Nobody to blame but yourselves. Hey, I'm trying on Rumble, man. I'm doing the best I can. I'm giving Rumble a shot, man. Joe Biden's administration pressured tech companies to censor people. His administration was the worst purveyor of censorship and violations of the First Amendment in the history of America. Oh my God. Take your wrench away for a minute? Oh, okay, I guess. All right, there you go. You're no longer a moderator, okay? Oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? We got, never forget, they took our president's freedom of speech. Just thus, Truth Social was born. That is correct. Thank you very much, Rudd. Thank you very much. And with that, we are now only $65 away from a second additional hour. Done with who? I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm confused. We can never have another Democrat governor again, but it means we all have to vote like we did in the last election. You know. Some notable Republicans were booted off YouTube for violating, including Steve Bannon, Deputy Director Dan Bongino. Yeah. So, and Google is not the first stalwart to admit that the Biden officials pressured it to censor content. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta and Facebook and Instagram, said the Biden administration basically pushed his company to censor COVID-19 posts. And generally, like, pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative. Zuckerberg told Joe Rogan earlier this year. But I think what they're trying to push the program, they also tried to censor anyone who was basically arguing against it. They pushed us super hard to take down things that honestly were true, right? Stifle, Edith, stifle. I mean, they basically pushed us and said anything that says vaccines might have side effects and basically need to take down. We were like, well, we're not going to do that. We're clearly not going to do that. But they did. They did do it. They did do it. And then here's this from the New York Times. This is Trumpinator sent me this, so I figured I'd pull it up because he sent it to me. YouTube to reinstate accounts banned over content related to the pandemic in the 2020 election. What about just reinstating everybody you canceled anyway, unless they did something that broke the law? Like if they didn't do anything that violated the law, maybe just let them talk. YouTube will create a process to reinstate the accounts of content creators whose profiles were banned in the recent years. The streaming platform revealed its plans to restore creators' accounts on Tuesday in a letter to the House Judiciary Committee. The letter was submitted by Alphabet, YouTube's parent company, in response to a lengthy investigation by Republicans. Yes, you do. Sometimes look around and a lot of chats are resigned to being mostly ignored. Tommy Sotomayor's proof Rumble is needed. He has been brigaded of all the others. I'm not saying Rumble. I enjoy Rumble. I have no problem with Rumble. If I could, you know, I mean, I have like 350 subscribers on Rumble, and I've been on Rumble just as long as YouTube. So I don't know, you know, or when I'm not subscribers, you know, followers, whatever. It's different. Subscribers on Rumble is members on YouTube. You watch Archie and Edith Weiner in labor. And all your kids, you missed the non-R-rated family TV. I have the box set, and I still love watching All in the Family. That's some great TV, you know. And then you got Jeffersons, basically, you know. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're moving on now. To the side.
Can't go wrong. In a letter, Alphabet said the streaming platform had faced pressure from the Biden administration to remove content that didn't violate its policies. It's been at the The pressure to police speech was unacceptable and wrong. The company's commitment to freedom of expression. This commitment is unwavering and will not bend to political pressure. Google's spokesman referred to the letter and declined to comment. Google has more than 2 billion users. That's different. Google, like YouTube, has more than 2 billion users. That's why people are on YouTube, because that's where it's like, why do people rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Why do people on YouTube? Because that's where the people are. Deep luxe apartment in the sky, to the east side. You know any good spots on the east side? But then here we got this. We got Jake Tapper's on, talking about Jimmy Kimmel being suspended, and he's going to say how the Jimmy Kimmel being suspended is the most direct infringement by the government on free speech that he's seen in his lifetime. So Jake Tapper has no clue what the fuck we've just been talking about, and all this stuff that's been all over the news. Jake Tapper, no, see no evil. I don't know nothing.
All right, Jimmy Kimmel. He's a friend of both of ours.
Yeah.
You know him. I know him. We know he's a good person. Obviously, this news is very exciting. But what was your original take on how this all went down starting last week?
I mean, I thought it was pretty much the most direct infringement by the government on free speech that I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
You have Networks are allowed to cancel shows. It happens all the time. But this was the FCC chairman saying, local affiliates, it's time for you to say you're not going to air Kimmel anymore. And then Nexstar, which with the largest owner of local affiliates, it needs approval from Brendan Carr himself to let this merger go through. Yes, sir. How high do you want me to jump, sir? They do it, and it's just insane.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
It is I mean, we don't know the details as we're talking about, if any sort of agreement was reached, or if ABC just is sort of like, this was an error in judgment. But I sort of look forward to seeing, obviously, how Jimmy responds. That'll be the most interesting piece of this.
Yeah, and well, look, I don't know why Disney and Bob Iger ultimately made the right decision and stood for free speech. They didn't initially, and that would have been the second example, because we all saw what happened with our friend Stephen Colbert and Sherry Redstone and Paramount with a different merger and a different pressure point that the government has. And we'll see what happens when they come for Comcast, and they'll see what happens when they come for Warner Brothers Discovery, and maybe you and I will be drawing comic
I'm
books
worried about you.
Oh, yeah. So that's the biggest thing he's ever seen. Cut him zig. It says Rackets was able until to get more in Rumble than YouTube with the flip. He was. I talked to Rackets, okay, and I've spoken to him on the phone and stuff, and he only made money with Rumble because of the contract with the Rumble guaranteed him a certain amount of money. Otherwise, he was getting clobbered by doing it, and he regrets it because he said it actually made his YouTube channel growth like stall. So it is what it is, Yeah. It's yellow journalism. It's a flat out lie. It's unsure if it falls under defamation laws, which I think only applies to individual influential figures, but these guys are straight up lying. Yeah, they are. Straight up lying. Straight up lying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they forgot to mention all the banning during the Biden days. Yeah. Did they say any of this when Obama personally called Bob Iger on the phone to get Roseanne canceled? Over a tweet? Wasn't something said on air. It was a tweet. Yeah, he doesn't remember any of this stuff. He doesn't, so it's a joke. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here's this guy. He tells CNN that the left has spent way more time treating Jimmy Kimmel as a victim than the person who was shot and killed in front of their wife and children, and nobody's been silenced by the government. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm going to let it play because I'm not going to read all that and then let it play. We got a nice clip here to listen to.
They're afraid of the government. It's exactly what Donald Trump. Who was silenced? Nobody silenced. We're not. Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. You have universities
private
afraid to
company.
speak
By
their
a
mind.
private
You have
company.
research being
Right.
completely
we talk
defunded.
about the blue and the red division. Every single one of the reasons why the FCC has a role is because these are broadcast stations with a monopoly that was granted by the
Do you
government.
feel good
It's
about?
not. No,
Do you
no,
feel
and
good
I
about
would
media?
hate it if the federal government came in and said, you may not say that. The reason why Jimmy Kimmel got himself into the first place is he was repeating a lie believed by 1 in 3 Democrats that the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk
He did not
had
say that.
right of center beliefs.
He did not say that.
We can parse his verbiage all day long. If he comes out and says, listen, that was not what I was trying to say, thank you. Fantastic. I appreciate that, Mr. Kimmel. The problem is that is believed. And we have spent way more time treating Jimmy Kimmel as a victim than the person who was shot and killed in front of their wife and children.
Let me ask you a question. If Joe Biden took down a prominent right-wing personality on TV for what he or she said, would you endorse that?
You're hypothetical if the Biden administration went and jawboned, let's say, social media platforms.
I'm talking about a similar allegory.
Oh, no, not social media. We're talking about
conservatives.
Will you answer my question?
No, that is
Roseanne
literally
Barr.
what the administration that you served did. Google just released
A broadcast
all of the
TV host
components.
taken down for words that they say or
When
intimidated
was
on,
that?
I will not
Oh,
approve
in the
your merger
history of
as
the
a result.
FCC, they have done that plenty of times on the right.
Was the
There's a
FCC
reason
chair saying we're
why.
going to do this the easy way or the hard way like a mobster?
Your
Were they?
administration
Were they?
deplatformed and kicked off of social media. You want to talk about actually silencing? Having any single public outlet that you have unallowed to broadcast something, right? Jimmy Kimmel could go on MSNBC tomorrow. He's going back on ABC tonight. This man has not been silenced. Charlie Kirk's been silenced because he's dead. A lot of conservatives were silenced on social media platforms because the government threatened those social media companies. Facebook, Google, Twitter. You can go down all the list.
Hey, Richard Wharton, how you
again
doing?
just acknowledged to Congress today that they did that at the behest of the Biden administration.
So do you endorse what happened to Jimmy Kimmel?
No, I don't.
We are,
I don't
yeah,
care about
we are-
Jimmy Kimmel.
we are-
Wait, we're talking about stuff that has nothing to do with this. We don't want to talk about the Biden administration did to millions of Americans and forced people to pump the stuff in their body and told they had no recourse and couldn't listen to doctors and silenced doctors and all these other people. And they took people's credentials away. Like, wait, why didn't they get into that? Like, that should have been something they should have brought up. Yeah, that should have been something they should have brought up. They should have brought up all the doctors that they threatened their licenses. They went after the licensure and how they went after all the lawyers' licenses and the people who represented Trump and defended people. Yeah. Yeah, the short-haired guy is censoring the long-haired guy by talking over him and not listening. Yes, he is. CNN exclusive, Timu Patrick Bet-David and Timu Jesus pretend to debate the issues as to proliferate the narrative that said issues even exist. Holy smokes, just nailed a former Biden aide on CNN. This is one of the best takedowns ever. Who was silenced? Nobody. Oh, we just watched this. Right? Wait, is this? Wait a minute, hold on.
Should you be able to speak your mind without retribution from the government? This is a government that is controlling law firms, media companies, educational institutions, and silencing opposition at the end of the day. And it's because of the money on the table from Nexstar, their billion-dollar merger, and that Disney lost their $4 billion in market cap that is causing all of this action. They're afraid of the government. It's exactly what Donald Trump did.
Who was silenced? Nobody's silenced. We're not.
Jimmy Kimmel was taken off.
Oh, we saw that part. I didn't see the first speech of him before, so that was the beginning of it. So this guy's full of shit. Yeah. So this is them talking, remember that stuff they said about Jimmy Kimmel, and then this guy's like, but somehow this wasn't. What are you smoking? Google admits to censorship under the Biden administration. Somehow the Supreme Court decided millions wouldn't be fired because of OSHA mandate. Yeah, remember that? Was that silencing people? Doggo Cam Automatic. What's up, D-Watt? Yeah, somebody paid like right away. Someone said, I want Bella right away. And they paid up to 25. So bam, Bellavision. That's how it works. That's how we roll. And Brennan Carr says, and there it is. On Kimmel, the Democrats are engaged in nothing more than projection and distortion. Projection because Democrats are the one that spent years literally, illegally weaponizing government to silence dissent. And then it is the Democrats that will do it all again. And they're openly telling you today. Distortion because Democrats want to blame anything other than Disney and their local TV station for Kimmel's suspension. Those businesses decided that, in their view, a suspension made sense. The reporting on that is clear. Notably, it's the first time recently that any local TV station has pushed back on a national programmer like Disney. And that's a good thing because we want to empower local TV stations. After all, local TV stations, not the national programmers, have public interest obligations. This is something that they wanted to do. Like these local broadcasters, Sinclair and Nexstar, for years, they've been wanting to get the government's help to push back on the big broadcasters because they're basically locked in with these affiliate things where they have to report anything that's national news has to be reported the same way on all the affiliates according to the programming from the main office. That's why if you've ever seen the videos where they show where they're repeating all the talking points, they'll show all these stations and all these people the same exact words, repeating it like it's the same thing. That's why, because they don't have the the authority under the contracts for a local station to say no, I want to report it this way or whatever. They want that authority. And it says, what is silly is that we all react to the news fed to us. Well, I don't know. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just look for information. You try to find it. You try to read through the news. You try to see what the actual story is. You look at it from different sources and you try to piece together and try to figure out what actually the truth is. That's all I'm looking for is the truth. Hey, Grip, what's up? How you doing? Morning. How's it going? Sunshine. I really loathe all this because it's all lies. Many of them know they're lying, but the dumber ones believe every word. And those lies were what killed Charlie Kirk. Yeah. Well, reading a script thanks to Obama Mockingbirds. Yeah. Well, Operation Mockingbird has been around for a long time. I mean, what happened because of Obama was they repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, which prevented the government from being able to use propaganda on us. And so now the government can use propaganda on us because of Obama. But Operation Mockingbird has been going on since the late 50s, early 60s. And basically what it is they send CIA agents that retire to go work in news media. One of the first most famous Operation Mockingbird people was a guy by the name of Bob Woodward with the Washington Post. So, I walked through all this in my Concordia remarks yesterday, which are posted below. Because here's Senator Scott Wiener from California. Look, it says, can't wait to break Sinclair up. Corporate media consolidation doesn't jive with democracy. And although Sinclair isn't a fan of democracy, most people are. So he's going to break up Sinclair because they wouldn't put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air. This is exactly what they claim. Everything the Democrats do is confession through projection. Everything they accuse Trump of doing, Biden did, was actually doing. Everything they constantly accuse. They say, oh, you're going to take health care away from Americans. But no, we're protecting the health care of Americans because we're taking it away from non-American, non-citizens, because we're wasting money on that. So, Friendly is a good streaming channel for old, good TV content. I think it's $14 a month. A friend has it. If I'm not, I think Me TV, METV is also really good. And so now Tim Pool asks that all this happened is that will YouTube start removing Antifa content from its platform?
The people on the far left wear all black intentionally. It's called the black bloc tactic. They do this so that, as I already mentioned, it's difficult to prosecute. They also do it so that individuals can de-arrest, attack cops, and it's hard to figure out who did it. But they have leaders. At all of these meetings, someone is in charge. They're lying when they say it's leaderless. The reason they want to convey that idea is they want to make it difficult for law enforcement to figure out who's organizing and setting these things up. But of course, somebody chose a date. Somebody made the flyer. Someone told people where to be. Now, often they'll say it's a collection of individuals who have volunteered up those services, and sometimes that is true. But when you go into these direct action meetings, they call them, there are people standing up and there are people sitting down. And the people standing up are the leaders who are in charge.
Yes, he did.
We call them the tourists. That's what we called them back in the day. Because you'd see the exact same people at every single different event. Why, you'd be in Portland at an Antifa cell with a unique name, but there was the same guy that you saw in New York or Texas or Long Beach or Chicago. Weird how that works. They explained this to us explicitly. During Occupy Wall Street, these people, the facilitators, they called themselves, explained, if you have a visible leader, the federal government will frame them, character assassinate, or arrest. Therefore, they make sure they appear leaderless. But of course, leaderless is an impossibility. There has to be someone buying tools, building shields, handing out weapons, telling people where to go. Not all of it. Sometimes it's a cult and they just know what to do and how to do it. That is, they show up without any explicit leadership telling them to show up. But someone made the flyers. Someone planned the dates. Someone told them how to behave. What's really happening is the leaders are limiting communication to obfuscate leadership.
They clearly, Antifa clearly has leadership. They clearly have memberships. They have private discourses. That's what they need to do. They need to get into the private discourse. They need to get into their communications networks. They need to infiltrate it. They need to monitor it, which I'm hoping they can do now that they declared them a terrorist organization. They can actually use Vice and other stuff to start monitoring it and start picking up using the NSA and stuff to get the information. They have it. It's there. They're just not supposed to listen to it. Maybe they should just listen to it. I don't know.
And bypass law enforcement. Now, here's where I say comes the ultimate test. First, Google's guidelines on violent criminal organizations. The president has now stated that Antifa, which has a logo, some of these organizations, some of these cells sell merch to terrorists. YouTube says they'll ban you. You can't praise it. You can't post it. You can't memorialize. You can't even produce it if you are a far left Antifa guy. The question now, will YouTube start banning and removing this content?
They should, right? I mean, they should be banning and removing the content. Richard Wharton says they are a transnational group with many chapters in Europe. Yes, they are. They also go to Cuba to train. They go other places around the world. Yeah, Scott Wiener is at POS, California Center, introduced weird bills all the time. He removed penalties for intentionally infecting people with AIDS. He lowered, basically said it's okay for a 25-year-old to sleep with a 13-year-old if they're gay. That's no mistake that, he's also in the same area with, your good friend, Adam Schiff. Probably hung out at the Standard Hotel with Adam Schiff and Ed Buck. Might want to Google that if you don't, check it out. When can we declare the Democrats a terrorist organization? Well, considering that they founded the KKK, was the Democrat Party's, basically the KKK was in the early 1900s for the Democrats what Antifa is today for the Democrats. Same group of people, same shit. So maybe use the anti-KKK law to go after Antifa and the Democrats, maybe. Yeah, Rose City kills Nazis. A Portland Antifa propaganda account, Anti-Fash PDX Art, run by a trans person, has been celebrating the assassination of Charlie Cook. One of their accounts that liked the post is Antifa International, a group that recruits people for international cells of Antifa. Oh, wow, this seems weird, right? Huh. They share the propaganda on Instagram, and Antifa uses the platform to share their propaganda and call for violence. Well, then how are these on the, now that it's a terrorist organization, how do they have accounts? They shouldn't, right? Wow. Anybody else notice they're calling those brown shirts? They aren't former. These are the groups you're looking for. Yeah, so why aren't they going after these people? And we got this. PBS will explain to us what Antifa is.
Well, the great detective.
What is Antifa and why Trump wants to label it a terrorist organization? Well, he already did label it a terrorist organization. You're a little late there with your Trump is targeting the Antifa movement, labeling it domestic terrorist organization. You shouldn't have named it domestic. They should have said international terrorist organization. You should have said a global terrorist organization. It has ties to stuff all around the world.
Wing Antifa movement, labeling it a domestic terrorist organization, even though no such designation exists under U.S. law. The move follows a weekend memorial for conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed at a college campus event less than 2 weeks ago. Top Republicans have been calling for increased scrutiny of Antifa since Kirk's assassination, even though so far the man accused of shooting Kirk has no publicly known link to the movement. We're joined now by Luke Baumgartner, a research fellow with George Washington University's program on extremism. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So what exactly is Antifa? How do you describe its core beliefs and tactics?
So simply put, Antifa...
Hold on a second. I didn't say, Mark, I did not say that the KKK was founded in the early 1900s. I said it's the KKK in the early 1900s was doing the exact same job for the Democrats that Antifa is doing for the Democrats today. They're going out battling people on the street and fighting with people, attacking Catholics and Jews and blacks is what the KKK did. And they were all Democrats, by the way. So I know they were formed after the Civil War and to fight against Reconstruction, but that was, in the 1870s. We're just talking about the 1930s. Big difference.
Is just short for anti-fascist. If you want to get more simple than that, it just means the opposition to fascism. Now, their belief system has a fairly wide range of encompassing ideologies, mostly on the political left, and they encompass anarchist.
Oh, so this guy that's talking is a member of Antifa. I could tell by looking at him. He's got the dual earrings. He's got the beard and the face. He's got the man bun. He's an Antifa dude. Let's look around. Where are we gonna see something here? Let's find something in the background that says Antifa. Yeah, I don't trust him. And say, oh, we're simply put, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as Antifa. It's just an idea. Yeah, fuck you. It's not an idea. Yeah, Antifa are the fascists. Okay. Oh, we've been going 2.5 hours. So since we just passed the 2.5 hours and we're into our first additional hour, I'm going to start another goal for the next hour. And if we get to add the second additional hour, I'll put another 1 hour goal. Okay. All righty. So, you saw part of Kimmel's opening monologue. My phone lives in fear of the flight and walls. He made himself the victim and seals clapped. Yeah, of course he did. So, what's that pounding sound you have? Pounding sound. You have somebody locked in the closet. That was me typing. No. The Knights of Columbus was an Italian organization. Not true. President Trump on Monday signed an order designating decentralized movement known as Antifa as a terrorist organization. Whether he could actually do that remained unclear. Actually, I think he did it. It's not a matter. Republican president said on social media, called Antifa sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, which they are. Short for anti-fascist. Antifa is not a single organization, but rather an umbrella term for far left-leaning militant groups that confront or resist neo-Nazis and white supremacists at demonstrations. So they're actually claiming that all these people they go after are white supremacists or neo-Nazis. No, Antifa is the foot soldiers of the communists. And that's true. It's an umbrella. It's an international organization where they're all getting money. Oh, I'm done with these books. Yeah, here we go. So here, they're talking about censorship. It says, holy crap, the day Charlie Kirk was killed and everyone was focused on that, Gavin Newsom and California Democrats rammed through an online censorship bill. Penalties. If you post something on social media anywhere online that the state of California deems to be hateful, there's a penalty for that reckless violation and a civil penalty up to $500,000. For an intentional, knowingly, or willful violation, a civil penalty of $1 million. SB 771 passed on the Assembly on September 10th, 10 days ago, and on the 16th, passing the Senate completely under our noses, which means right now, all that stands between complete statewide government censorship is Gavin Newsom's signature, which he signed it. I exaggerating about how bad this bill is? No, I am not. Here's the actual bill. You can pull this up yourself on the state's website. The bill's called SB 771. It's called Personal Rights Liability Social Media Platforms. In Section 2, Title 23 of the bill, it defines the penalties for breaking this new California law. If you post something on social media anywhere online that the state of California deems to be hateful, there's a penalty for that reckless violation. The definition of the state controlling speech, folks. What type of speech is California trying to police here? Well, let's read the bill. It says this bill protects against online harassment, particularly when directed at historically marginalized groups. Oh. The state of California actively passed UK-style laws that will fine you for saying the wrong thing. Pretty wild. And this bill is completely done, folks. It's passed the House, it passed the Senate, and it's in Gavin Newsom's signing it into law. It's 100% true. We even clipped screenshots from the bill and put it in our video as proof. Let's see.
Middle of all of this, something else happened. Middle of all of this, something else happened around free speech. Something nobody seems to be talking about happening in the background while none of us are paying attention. The bluest state in the country, California, just passed the most censorious bill ever to be introduced in this country, SB 771, passing the Assembly on September 10th, 10 days ago. Then on September 16th, passing the Senate completely under our noses, which means right now, all that stands between complete statewide government censorship is Gavin Newsom's signature. Now, am I exaggerating about how bad this bill is? No, I am not. Here is the actual bill. You can pull this up yourself on the state's website. The bill's called SB 771. It's called Personal Rights Liability Social Media Platforms. In Section 2, Title 23 of the bill, it defines the penalties for breaking this new California law. If you post something on social media anywhere online that the state of California deems to be hateful, there's a penalty for that reckless violation, a civil penalty of up to $500,000. For an intentional, knowing, or willful violation, a civil penalty of up to $1 million. That is the definition of the state controlling speech, folks, not what Trump just did. We don't like what the FCC chairman happened to say on Benny Johnson's show, but there's a huge difference between that and real government censorship. And what type of speech is California trying to police here? Well, let's read from the bill. It says, this bill protects against online harassment, particularly when directed at historically marginalized groups. Which means what? If you were to, I don't know, point out who the Kavanaugh assassin is, which we all just learned about this morning in this new court filing, if you were to say who that person is, would you be fined $500,000? Pretty frightening. All of this happening in the midst of the media and Democrats, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris making hay out of Trump trying to attack the First Amendment. Meanwhile, the state of California is actively passing UK-style laws that will fine you for saying the wrong thing. Pretty wild. And this bill is completely done, folks. It's passed in the House. It's passed in the Senate. All that's left is Gavin Newsom signing it into law.
Wow. That's crazy, right? Pretty crazy. California bill that fines big tech for pushing hateful content sets stage for free speech fight. Yeah. Wow. Historically marginalized groups. Wow, that's nebulous and abusable at all. Yeah. Yeah, well. A bill that would allow the state to fine large social media companies millions of dollars if they amplify violent or extremist content has ignited a free speech fight pitting big tech against those who argue more accountability is needed. State legislature, which Democrats hold a supermajority, passed California's Senate bill Thursday night and headed to Governor Newsom's desk. He has until the 13th to sign it. If he does, it would create a messy, drawn-out legal battle with multi-billion-dollar tech companies over what people can post on their platforms. Well, actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, more than likely what's going to happen is what should happen, I hope, is that, well, in California, Republicans should be considered marginalized, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the Attorney General for Civil Rights should probably sue California to keep them from implementing the law. But free speech has its limits. Yeah, those are called actual threats and crimes. The limits on free speech is actual crimes. You know, that whole thing that people always like to repeat about you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That was dicta in a Supreme Court case that was overturned. So it's not even good case law. Even the dicta is not even good case law because that decision was overturned. That was in the decision about people who were protesting the draft for World War I. That they said, oh, you can't do this. You can't protest the draft. And it was later overturned and said, no, you can absolutely protest the draft. So the bill sponsored by Senator Harry Stern was introduced after X and Meta loosened content moderation and scaled back fact-checking following criticism from President Trump. So, basically, so they admitted that the Biden administration was forcing them to do all this stuff, and they said, yeah, it was wrong. We shouldn't do this. So California goes, no, we want you to do this. We want more. We want more. We want more. We're gonna prosecute you if you don't violate people's First Amendment rights. I also heard that Newsom proclaimed an executive order not allowing plants and fences to exist on your property. Doesn't make those lesbian firefighters do their job, you bigots. Yeah. Opponents warn it's a sweeping censorship bill disguised as protection against hate and bigotry. People have a right to be hateful. We say you shouldn't, but people have a right to be hateful and say hateful things. People have a right to be bigots. That's just the way it is. It's called freedom of association, and it's just the way it is. The government cannot do this. The bill would impose a separate civil penalty. Oh. A fact sheet provided to the Washington Examiner by Skern's office claimed violence, threats, and intimidation targeting certain historically vulnerable populations, such as Jewish people, women, immigrants, people of color, and those in the LGBT community, are at historic highs and rising at rate shattering. So basically, everybody except for white men. That's it. That's everybody except for straight white men. The only people that aren't protected. Notwithstanding the escalating danger, social media platforms announced dramatic retreats in screening and moderation practices to protect targeted populations. The change could not have come at a more dangerous time. Vladislav Zakalakading, vice president of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, supports the bill. I'm just going to come out and say this right now. Israel and these Jewish people should probably tone it back a little bit with what they're doing here, because they're going to lose the support that they have from people if they're playing games. And now they're talking about, the ADL, as far as I'm concerned, can go fuck themselves. Same with the SPLC. And now if the Simon Wiesenthal Center is going to start pulling this shit, you know what? We're going to start asking questions about them too. This person testified and called it a critical step, finally holding tech companies accountable for amplifying hate, extremism, and disinformation. Oh, yeah. The Simon Wiesenthal Center published its annual digital terror and hate report card, which assesses how major tech companies this is not the way you want to go, buddy. I hate to break it to you. You're going to lose support. It's just government-sponsored censorship. That's right. Critics of the bill call it nothing short of government-sponsored censorship because that's what it is, government-sponsored censorship. He's making it more likely that more people leave California. Yeah, well. It's everything the government does, they say is for your protection and safety, but it's just control. It's like it's essential that we protect users online. It's not but it's not said this guy, a policy manager. Yeah, you don't need to protect anybody. They can protect themselves. They can just shut the computer off. Yeah, the California chapter of CARE, Council of American Islamic Relations, the company that was found to have participated in terrorists, that's declared a terrorist organization in multiple countries. They said that they took issue with the bill, warning it could be weaponized to suppress protected speech and disproportionately affect marginalized communities, including Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian Californians. Also, they want to be able to say that, that they want to be able to attack Jews, and this law says they can't attack Jews. The bill opens the door for bad actors to disproportionately pressure online corporations to silencing free speech and reduce their financial liability with no protection for users against those mechanisms. It does nothing to address actual drivers of anti-black racism, Islamophobia, and white supremacist violence. Oh, yeah, because that's the biggest problem. Shoshana Wiseman told Reason that the bill would unfairly punish social media companies for speech protected under the First Amendment. Yeah, no shit. Which they can't do. Under the law, knowingly seems to include any time a platform uses an algorithm. Only penalizing a company with $100 million or more in annual gross profits, the bill could have the opposite effect of sending users to smaller social media platforms like 4chan, which have a reputation for allowing more extreme views and content. Yeah, CARE is the Muslim Brotherhood, which they're outlawed in multiple countries. I don't know why we allow them. They did terror funding. And it was called the Holy Land case or something like that, the Holy Land Foundation case. This, huge exclusive New Jersey man secures nearly 1 million documents from Detroit's 2020 election, including copies of absentee ballots and signed envelopes in one of the largest election FOIA hauls in U.S. history. TikTok. Detroit's election officials and Michigan's dirty Secretary of State Benson have been officially put on notice. After years of being gaslighted by some of the most dishonest people in election history, the Gateway Pundit, along with some of the most respected election investigators in the state, are about to blow the lid off the lies about Detroit's secure 2020 election that helped give Joe Biden an inexplicable victory in a must-win state of Michigan. On election night, President Trump appeared to hold a commanding lead in key battleground states, approximately 100,000 votes in Wisconsin, 300,000 in Michigan, and 700,000 in Pennsylvania. For Joe Biden to erase those margins, his performance in the outstanding vote would have needed to be dramatically stronger, particularly in heavy Democrat strongholds such as Detroit, Milwaukee, and Philly. As the night wore on, reports emerged, often inconsistent, that some precincts had stopped counting, sent workers home, or restarted tabulations under unclear circumstances. To this day, there is confusion and disagreement over the extent on these pauses and whether any state laws or procedures were ignored in the process. What cannot be disputed is that the vote totals from Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania continued to change throughout the night, long after many Americans had gone to bed. By early morning on November 4th, Wisconsin had flipped blue, followed soon after by the must-win state of Michigan. Days later, Georgia and Pennsylvania fit for Biden as well. For many observers, the abrupt turnarounds combined with conflicting reports of election night disruptions fueled deep skepticism about the integrity and transparency of the process. Michigan lawmakers and election integrity investigators have spent an untold number of hours and resources to prove the election in Detroit was rigged. To date, they have not been able to secure the documents needed to verify what they believe happened that led to an inexplicable victory for Joe Biden in the presidential race. Enter Yehuda Miller, an American hero. Yehuda Miller, a New Jersey resident, explained to the Gateway Pundit that he used the be non-political until after the 2020 election, when he found himself questioning the hotly contested election results and the subsequent lack of transparency by election officials in key states, which results handed the presidency to an unremarkable and by many accounts incoherent Democrat candidate. Oh, look. Last week, Miller contacted me with the news that he had just obtained almost 1 million election documents from the 2020 via FOIA from the city of Detroit and Wayne County. Yehuda Miller's request for documents was originally rejected. Undeterred by the denial, Miller hired a top FOIA attorney who successfully sued for the documents before the expiration of the 22-month federally mandated period, which requires election officials to retain all election records from all general, special, and primary elections. We are pleased to report that Mr. Miller has now secured copies of the actual absentee ballots, the signed envelopes that contain the absentee ballots, absentee ballot applications, QVF files, and total tapes from each, including the out-of-balance Detroit precincts. Yeah, it was crazy. Some of those precincts had 110, 120% reporting. Within hours of obtaining the electronic files and hard copies, the Gateway Pundit began working with top election integrity experts in Michigan to review the massive amount of data. A few months ago, Miller obtained a large portion of the FOIA materials from Wayne County, where Detroit is located, so his election data from 2020 in Detroit has now been completed. Many in Michigan who have become aware of his massive FOIA haul are calling it a miracle. The Gateway Pundit, who has broken more stories uncovering evidence of malfeasance and election integrities, irregularities, lies from top officials like Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, the outright voter fraud that any other local, state, and national news organization would likely personally thank Yehuda Miller for sharing this evidence with us, and the key election integrity experts in Michigan who are committed to revealing the truth about what really happened in 2020 election in the city of Detroit. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the night. It was insane. The media simply turned a blind eye, gaslighting the public into accepting the empirically impossible. Yeah. Please explain my background. I have some albums back there, some records, vinyl, and some CDs and some movies and stuff. And on the day after the election, the Gateway Pundit reported about a white van that delivered ballots in the early morning hours in the back of a hallway of the county center. The Gateway Pundit founder, Jim Hoff, paid to obtain the surveillance footage from back hallways of the TCF Center where absentee ballots were counted in Detroit. Thanks to a great deal of tedious work, the Gateway Pundit staff was able to prove that a black rental car was used to escort two white vans filled with absentee ballots in the wee hours of the morning on the day after the election. In the video, a gentleman dressed all in black, uniform of supervisors inside a TCF counting room, can be seen entering the hallway and passing something to the driver of the vehicle through the window before the driver pulls away, and the white van enters and to begin unloading boxes of ballots. What was the supervisor handing the driver? How did the driver contact the supervisor to let him know he had discreetly entered the back hallway? Watch the incredible footage here. That was lame. I don't understand what you want to know about my.
If you eat eggs and have dementia, you should never drink warm water, and I will explain why.
Avoid these three foods like the plague.
Whole milk or almond
Hey, look at
milk?
that.
Neither.
What milk do you guys like to drink?
We drink oat milk.
Seriously?
My name is Shane Trejo. I was there as a poll challenger at TCF from about 9:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. On the night after the election, the morning after the election.
All right. We're not watching this because they're going to play this music crap and do all this stuff. So, poll challengers were locked out of the room after top election officials told them to take a break while they prepared the military ballots. Only a small percentage of the UOCAVA ballots are actually military voters or voters who are family members of the military. Yeah. Oh, you don't think you meant physical background? Oh, you meant like my background? What was there to tell, really? You know, I'm just a guy originally from Chicago. I was in the union for 20 years, electrical union. Worked for a large company building high rises, hospitals, schools, medical centers, research centers, stuff like that. Worked my way up to, foreman, general foreman, superintendent. Was in the Navy. That's it. Not a lawyer, not a doctor, not a cop, not a Fed. Somebody with an inquisitive mind, knows how to read, has a library card. Democrat poll challengers and their counterparts, which include outside agitators, somehow knew to stay inside the county room and ordered pizza to be delivered, while Republicans retreated for a short break to a room on another floor. When the Republicans returned to the county room, they had been locked out. When Republican poll challengers began to chant "Stop the count," leftist poll workers and Democrat poll challengers used their pizza boxes to cover the windows. Yeah, never before seen video shows windows being covered with pizza boxes and paper. And if that doesn't tell you there was a problem, Michigan's top election official, Democrat Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, was asked by Detroit's top radio host and the now deceased Frank Beckham about the pizza boxes that were used to cover the windows and prevent the Republican poll challengers from watching the process. She did what she does best. She lied. Listen to her lying to the guy about why the windows were being covered.
It's clear that both sides were going to complain about the entire process. What did you make of what happened? What are you hearing from TCF Center yesterday, where poll watchers, many of them Republicans who said, look, this was aimed at us, said we were not allowed to look in, and they even put paper over the windows to keep us from looking in at the ballots to double check them as we're allowed to do. What did you make of all that?
Yeah, well, the paper over the windows was because the windows were being broken by those who were outside, and so it was really just protective measures that the Detroit police were implementing. The other piece of it is, I think, I've said this quite clearly throughout, we welcome transparency. I think that's so important, observation on the process, and that's why we had really a record number of poll watchers and challengers throughout the state, including in the absentee counting boards. But it does cross the line when people get disruptive or try to interfere or stop the count.
She said they were breaking the windows. Surveillance footage from almost every absentee ballot drop box in Detroit, and what we found was outrageous. Not one charge was filed as a result of our exposing multiple individuals and teams dropping off stacks of ballots while filming themselves. After hundreds of hours of pouring through the video footage, we were able to share clips of United States postal workers violating the postal code by dropping stacks of ballot in the drop boxes instead of delivering them to the addresses on the envelopes, as well as individuals and teams working to drop off massive stacks of ballots while recording their activity on a cell phone. Secretary of State Benson called the U.S. postal workers' illegal activity normal and legal, and the fact-checking tabs of the Michigan Secretary of State's website. Dana Nessel never commented on the videos. Most Chicago Union people are Dems. What happened to you? Well, I'm not an idiot, and believe it or not, like, what happened was I'm not an idiot, and I saw what happened when NAFTA got passed by the Democrats and what it did to our work and what it did to all the stuff we did, and it was horrible. And I could see that the Democrats just lied all the time about what the Republicans were doing, and that was about it. And I was responsible for a large number of union members attending Tea Party rallies because I would let people on my jobs go to the rallies. The Gateway Pundit summarized our findings from the 2020 election drop box footage in a 13-minute video. The group was funded by Joe Biden's presidential campaign, and Democrat Senator Gary Peters was finally caught 1 month before the 2020 election when a supervisor working for GBI Strategies dropped off between 8,000 and 10,000 voter registrations. Many, if not all of them, were fraudulent. No charges were filed. After a lengthy 2-year investigation by the Michigan State Police, the FBI took over. Several attempts have been made to get more information, but the FBI has refused and claims it's an ongoing investigation. Whew. Yeah, where are the police reports of the broken windows? Prior to being named as deputy director, former podcast host Dan Magino suggested that GBI Strategies was the best evidence for massive voter fraud in 2020 because we brought receipts. What's going on now? Why aren't they doing something about it? And finally, the most underreported story is activist Ramon Jackson revealed to the Michigan House Election Integrity Committee chair and her committee how he uncovered what the Gateway pundit and election integrity experts in Michigan believe is one of the key ways elections are being repeatedly stolen in Detroit. Mm-hmm. People are actually being registered unlawfully back to Detroit when they leave Detroit. Pastor Seal and activist Jackson present compelling allegations of voter fraud in Detroit, claiming the Michigan Secretary of State is improperly registering individuals without their consent. The implication could be significant. The group collecting the information from Yehuda Miller is in support of criminal investigations. Well, that's good. Yeah, NAFTA was the beginning of the outsourcing. Companies like IBM all rapidly abandoned upstate New York, bankrupted Western New York at all. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, I thought Ross Perot was going to save us. You know, I thought he was smart. But all Ross Perot did was get us Bill Clinton. That's all Ross Perot did. Ross Perot took enough votes away from George H.W. Bush, who sucked, by the way, was not a good president. You lived in Chicago, great town, a white-collar dude. Chicago is a great town, man. Food is fantastic. Great place, a lot of fun. You know, it's just gotten too violent there. It really has. The neighborhood's collapsed. I mean, the neighborhood that I grew up in is completely shit now. And like, you can't even go out at night there. And it's just the way it is, man. Just shootings every day. You know, but this is what's happening too. Is you got the EU scrutinizing how Apple, Google, Microsoft tackle online scams. So the EU is using different laws and stuff that their regulators are going to evaluate how they handle fraudulent applications like banking apps and stuff, and they're going to go after them. So they're going to use everything in their power to just keep targeting. You know, use targeting, querying them over financial scams. They're going to keep doing it. All right. Now we're going to talk about another story. I don't know if you guys heard, but the guy that tried to kill President Trump at the golf course in Palm Beach was found guilty today on all charges. Yeah, poor little Ross Perot. Well, he was, you know, a blue pimple in Illinois. Yeah, that's Chicago, Cook County. Yeah, but if you look at the way they gerrymandered the shit out of Illinois, man, I mean, you know, Illinois used to have Republican governors all the time, but man, it's been a long time since they've had a Republican senator. The way that they have what they're doing with Chicago, the votes, the machine, the Chicago machine, the daily machine. Maybe that's another reason why I saw firsthand. I know people in Chicago that knew the dailies personally and saw how machine politics worked with ward bosses, your aldermen, and how you had to do things, you know, patronage jobs and all that. And I knew that was not for me. An important reminder: Ryan Ruth is yet another example of left-wing terrorism. He drove around with the Biden-Harris sticker on his truck, donated to Democrats through Act Blue 19 times, and even voted in the 2020 Democrat primary. Today, he was found guilty on all charges for his plot to assassinate President Trump on his golf course. Yeah, Dick Durbin is not running again. I used to have to go to fundraisers and stuff because of my work. You know, like I met Dick Durbin. He's a fucking liar, scumbag. That's all I'll say. He would spend the rest of his life behind bars, exactly where left-wing terrorists belong. So yes, Biden, Harris, sticker on his truck, all this stuff. Yeah, you know, leftist political violence. Yeah. Leftist assassin found guilty. Ryan Ruth is a Democrat. Repeated the Democrat slogan: "Democracy's on the ballot." You used to have box seats for Cubs games. Yeah. Well, I used to have floor seats for the Bulls. Repeated the Democrat slogan: "Democracy's on the ballot." Donated 100 plus to Act Blue. Voted in the March 2024 Democrat primary that Trump would make America slaves again. Supported Bernie in 2020. Announced had announced a bounty on Trump and had a Biden-Harris sticker on his car. Mm-hmm. Ryan was found guilty trying to assassinate Trump. He then unsuccessfully tried to kill himself. He's now 0-2. Yeah. Well, what he did was when he was found guilty, he immediately grabbed a pen off the desk and stabbed himself in the neck trying to kill himself. And he failed again. Jury convicts man attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Ryan Root's attempted assassination of President Trump was a disgusting act mere weeks before an election and only months after a separate assassination attempt came dangerously close to succeeding. Yeah, be like Mike. Yeah. I used to love going to Bulls games, Hawks games, White Sox games. I didn't like Bears games too much. It was really not a good seat at all. And, well, prior to the renovation, it sucked. After the renovation, it wasn't that bad. But I really enjoyed going to in Bridgeview watch the soccer games at Toyota Park, which were real nice. My company had a box there, so it was go sit in the box. Anyway, yeah, not a very good comedy. Can't reliably kill anybody. FBI teams work quickly and diligently with local partners and Department of Justice to demonstrate a clear fact pattern of Ruth's planning and intent. We are grateful to see a quick resolution. The FBI will continue working aggressively to take violent offenders off the American streets and protect public officials from threats of all nature. Ryan Ruth found guilty on all charges. Mike Benz goes over the real evidence. Ruth was working his way through a CIA DOD state operation. Mm-hmm. Let's hear what Mike Benz has to say.
So Ryan Routh was basically, the 37th leg of a CIA paramilitary recruiting operation to top up human meat fodder in Ukraine. And he was working with the State Department to try to convert these passports into no-look visas for these fighters. And he was flagged by Customs and Border Patrol in June 2023 for this operation. It was referred to DHS HSI, the same group that basically is implicated, at least in an indirect fashion, but potentially even in a direct fashion in both assassination attempts. HSI refused to interrogate Ryan Routh when he returned to the country, despite being flagged to do so by Customs and Border Patrol. The guy has been arrested almost 100 times in his life, but never spent a day in jail. And most importantly, 2.5 weeks ago, this Justice Department made a public statement saying it is seeking an indefinite delay of the trial of Ryan Routh because of complex evidence. And you know why that is? It's because the complex evidence will reveal that Ryan Routh was working his way through a CIA, DOD, State Department operation to militarily recruit terrorist fighters into Ukraine.
Mike Benz was in the State Department working with USAID. That's how come he was able to know what was going on. He saw what was going on in USAID in the State Department, and then he got out of it and started telling everybody. And he's the one that basically unrolled this is what USAID does. This is what the National Endowment for Democracy does. This is what all these things are doing with our money.
Ukraine, which is a major international incident. If revealed, the Justice Department is protecting the CIA and the DOD because actually interrogating the sources of funding behind Routh, actually interrogating his human network is going to implicate the intelligence community and the Defense Department, and that is the second job of the DOJ. The first job is putting away the bad guys, but the second job is to CYA, cover the arse of the intelligence community and the DOD so that the blob's interests are constantly protected and concealed from the American people who could oversee them.
The conviction of Ryan Routh underscores the necessity of rigorous law enforcement and judicial accountability. While the trial confirmed his guilt, the broader issue is systemic failure. A man with nearly 100 prior arrests faced zero consequences until targeting a political figure. This isn't about conspiracy theories. It's about a broken system that allows repeat offenders to slip through until tragedy forces action. This guy got caught with a illegal machine gun and didn't go to jail for it. How is that possible? This is before any of this happened. That's the thing that's like very suspicious. It's like, how did this happen? If agencies flagged Ruth yet failed to act decisively, that's a failure of bureaucratic inertia, not proof of orchestrated plots. The real scandal is how DC's incompetence lets threats fester until they nearly destabilize the nation. Justice served here, but how many others are still slipping through the cracks? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Baker still has contact. Yeah, Biden still has contacts with people in there and stuff like that. So that needs to be a voice in the Trump. Yeah, well, I think he does. Do I support unions? What about the labor scam in Georgia? I support unions in theory that actually provide a service to the people that are members. You know what I'm talking about? Like unions that have apprenticeship programs and training facilities. They train the people to actually be welders, to be plumbers, to be pipe fitters, to be electricians, to be carpenters, painters, all these different things. These, labor unions that actually provide the training for the members and the support. There's nothing wrong with that. They're providing a service and stuff. The part I don't like about unions is how it doesn't matter if it's the political angle of it and how we've allowed public sector unions to fester, and where it's basically they're basically arms of the Democrat Party, and it shouldn't be that way. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, just so everybody knows, we are 3 hours and 11 minutes in, so we got about 25, 30 minutes maybe left in the show, unless we hit the goal for another hour. I'm going to say goodbye right now to the people on Instagram and on X. If you're on Instagram or X and you want to continue watching, come on over to YouTube, Rumble, or Facebook. Ugh. All right. Okay. I have to do that because Instagram cuts off anyway at 4 hours. I didn't want to forget and get it to shut off. Imagine this guy connected to George Zinn. Well, there is some weird connections with George Zinn guy, Let's see. Salty C says, side note, from ages 3 to 7, I live in South Elgin, St. Charles, and Valley View Heights near Fox River, originally from Southern California, but Democrats have to ruin everything. Oh, cool. And the Tim Pool says, breaking, Ryan Routh, the suspect in the Trump assassination, has been convicted on all counts, proceeds to attempt to stab himself in the neck with a pen after the verdict. Yeah, this is crazy.
It's quite shocking. As the verdict was read, it appeared to our producers inside the courtroom that Ruth tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen. That's what it appeared to look like. Then 4 marshals dragged him out of the courtroom, took his coat off, They then shackled him at the waist and ankles, and then they brought him back into the courtroom. So again, this just in from our producers, as the verdict was being read, Ruth tried to hurt himself in the neck with a pen. Now, it's quite shocking.
Oh, that's just shocking. JT Thompson says, Carrions, bamboos, Governor Kemp brought in low-wage labor for a big plant. Yes, I know about that. I covered it. They said they brought in electricians. And I'm pretty sure that the people who turned them in, because they knew what was going on, the feds went there and they arrested everybody. They knew exactly what was going on. It was probably the unions that turned them in, because the people that were doing the work that were there were taking union jobs away. So somebody saw it. They were running 3 shifts building it. So I'm sure somebody said, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why are all these people here that don't speak English and that are doing work that's our work? It was probably actually unions that led to the raid. That's how they had the information to arrest whatever it was, almost 500 people. Unions served a purpose 100 years ago, not anymore. They still serve a purpose today. Like I said, like, you know, to get like electricians, it's a 5-year apprenticeship program to become an electrician, you know, and there's classroom schooling. That's, you know, months of schooling in a classroom. Somebody, you know, the union covers all that stuff to train you. You know, and then once you're in the union, after the first initial, I think it's 11 or 12 weeks of schooling, then you start working. Then they actually pay you while you're in school. The union pays you while you're in school for your 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year schooling. So that's good. And the same thing with pipe fitters and plumbers. We need trained people to do this work. And, you know, the unions guarantee the work. You know, in Chicago anyway, they guaranteed our work for 5 years. Yeah, bad unions hurt the good unions. Yeah, bad unions that did shit, like the stuff that they did with, they basically, you know, ran the businesses out of Detroit. Those were stupid, you know. And there's a lot of unions where they stole all the retirement money and then they didn't actually save it. Like you know, there's been tons of bad unions, you know. The teachers union is horrible, and there should not be a teachers union. There really shouldn't. Just in, Secretary Noem reacts as Ryan Ralph's children scan law enforcement cars for their father after he's found guilty. Hey, Bulldozer, thanks for raiding the stream. That's great, man. Yeah, basically labor versus trade.
And not only, Secretary, I believe this. We're just watching. These vehicles are starting to pull out, and I just want to let our viewers know. This is the daughter and son of Ryan Ruth as they are scanning these cars, trying to see which one holds their father. And very sad. I mean, obviously, she's trying to get a moment with him. The police pulling her away from that vehicle. The son waving as he goes by. You know, this is a family tragedy, a conviction to be sure, but really ripped apart this family, and obviously tremendous stress on the Trump family as well. Secretary.
Well, this should remind every family to go out and to take care of their family members before it comes to this type of action that is taken, before this type of consequences is implemented. Everybody go out there and have conversations with your family, watch over their mental health, watch over their heart, bring them back to their faith, and be proactive in people's lives rather than sitting back and waiting for them to be radicalized until they commit acts of violence like this.
Chaos erupted outside the courtroom moments after Ryan Ralph was found guilty on all 5 counts of attempted assassination. After the final verdict was read, Ralph's daughter, Sarah, sprinted from the courtroom in tears, visibly shaken. As the media tried to get a reaction, she screamed profanities at them. Yeah, this is the woman who said that there was no way her father could have done any of this stuff, that this is all a lie, and that...
a very serious sentence. But, you know, it would be gratuitous to pile on too much about her credibility at this moment.
And this is the moment I just described. We're told this is playback of just a few moments ago, Ruth's daughter. Okay.
It was there. Just
Right.
not only crying as she left, obviously she went into a full sprint to get away from the media.
A very serious sentence, but it would be gratuitous to pile on.
Right. Apparently, the daughter said he was saying he didn't hurt anyone. Thank God he didn't assassinate Trump. Yeah. Where she works, she's trying to piggyback off Pat Post week's mentions. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they. I don't know where they were. If his family of his, as far as I know, I thought he didn't talk to his. Talk to. Hey, what's up? See you, doubles. How you doing? I don't know where she came from. Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah, definitely. This, jury convicts man of attempted assassination of President Trump and assault on a federal law enforcement officer. Because I think he shot. Didn't he shoot at the? Didn't he shoot at the Secret Service guy? Today's guilty verdict against the would-be Trump assassin illustrates the Department of Justice commitment to punishing those who engage in political violence. This attempted assassination was not only an attack on our president, but an affront to the very nation itself. I'm grateful of U.S. Attorney Jason Quinones, who Jason Quinones, if you don't know, he is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. He's also the guy in charge of the grand juries investigating Jack Smith. Not a real boy, Jack Smith. You know what I mean? And he, by Quinones, he's got the big balls. He's going to take it to them. Here we go. All this would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ralph tries to stab himself in the neck with a pen after a guilty verdict. And since it's the federal system, we don't have video. We just have a friggin' drawing. I mean, this is 2025, and we still are paying people to be courtroom artists. Let's just put friggin' cameras in there already. What is that? There's no excuse for us to not have cameras in the courtroom anymore. This is beyond ridiculous. There should definitely be cameras in the courtroom. So, you keep saying you're going to lurk, but you don't. I know, it's hard to do it. But don't worry, the show's almost over. Give you a reason to send me money? I don't know what you want to talk about. You want me to talk about the debate between non-union and union? I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't think anyone should be forced to join a union. But in some cases, the unions do good things. If the unions provide a guarantee that the work being performed by the people is done correctly, and if there's a problem, they'll correct it, as opposed to the non-union where you don't know. I mean, especially, I'm going to tell you, in Florida, the people that are making all the money are the people that own the businesses, not the workers. Like, basically everybody in Florida around here, doesn't matter what you do for a living, a carpenter, a plumber, roofer, people that work on pools, they all make like 20, 25 bucks an hour. That's it. No benefits, no nothing. They're all 1099 contract. That's it. There's nothing. Yet they charge the same money for the work here as they did in Chicago. Same cost per outlet, same cost per opening, as it's called, same price. So who's getting all the money? So in a way, for construction, I think unions are a good thing for construction, because they guarantee that the work's going to be done correctly by people that actually know what they're doing. I mean, what we've got now in this country is we have a whole bunch of people doing work. I mean, anybody who's bought a new house lately, you're going to notice if it's been like people, basically they hire people that barely speak English to come in and do the work. And let's just say they're not doing the work to a standard appreciable to the North American consumer. Ryan Ruth tries to stab himself with a pen after being convicted in the Trump assassination. Yeah.
It's quite shocking. As the verdict was read, it appeared to our producers inside the courtroom that Ruth tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen.
Wow, in a pen in the neck.
That's what it appeared to.
He took a pen and tried to stab himself in the neck. Just as jurors were exiting the courtroom, prompting marshals to grab him and drag him out of the room, he didn't hurt anybody. On September 15th, 2024,
The madman who holed up in a cypress nest with an assault rifle. Come on. It was a freaking, let's be honest here, man. It was a SKS. I mean, I guess you're going to call it what you want. Stephen Stearns had to do a whole pretrial motion just to get permission to use a regular pen during his trial process, and the judge still said no. Man, who knows? Maybe they wanted him to be able to do it. Who knows? He was a useful idiot. Yeah, he was. So we're going to show some more stuff. Yeah, so this basically says Trump golf course gunman found guilty after assassination attempt. This is the same thing, right? Basically the same thing, right?
Let's go to Dana Marie McNichol, who's live outside the courthouse. And Dana Marie, do we know the timing of the reading of the verdict at this point?
John, I just have a lot of breaking news in terms of the sequence of what happened right after the verdict was read. Now, it is quite shocking. As the verdict was read, it appeared to our producers inside the courtroom that Ruth tried to stab himself in the neck.
Yeah. So he tried to stab himself in the neck. So nice for you to show me so late. Don't worry. They set him up at least 3 times now. Yeah. He's trying to get sent to a mental hospital instead of prison. Well, maybe. Why not just put your palm to your nose? Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't know. I mean, whatever. So, anyway. No. Yeah. Oh, we got 7 minutes left in the goal, it looks like. And we're $65 away from a second additional hour. So, I don't think it's going to happen tonight. Okay.
With a pen. That's what it appeared to look like. Then 4 marshals dragged him out of the courtroom with the media, her evading the media, and then running off camera, as you see there. So just very, very shocking news. Very, very.
Expletives.
As his children, the daughter and the son, just witnessed their.
All right. Now we're going to jump into some other stuff here. Try to get a couple run through this. So this happened. So after Charlie Kirk was assassinated for going to talk to people out of school, this other group, this Fearless Tour, Fearless Debates, went to a, hey, Cool Frog, thanks for rating the stream. What's up? Went to another HBCU, and it ended in violence. This is what happened. And you can see there's cops and everybody there. So let's see. Music? Really? Music? Why are they playing music? It's not like this is stupid. Playing music. All right. Well, I guess you don't want me to play the video because you're gonna play music because you don't dummies. So the students who screaming and throwing things need to be expelled. No university should support their students treating people like this. Yeah. So this is Cam Higbee says today Fearless Debates tour tabled at HBCU Tennessee State University. After 10 minutes, a literal riot erupted. You know what they say? The pen is mightier than a sword. They stole our stuff, followed us to our car, attacked the car, shouted Black Power, and blocked our exit of the campus. Our topic was DEI. Let's see. Yeah, they threw a drink up top.
Oh my gosh, they threw a drink up top.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Did somebody just throw something in our car?
They just tried to hit the car. They're still hitting the car. Whoa! That was loud.
Oh, JT Thomas says, your new job is entertainment. Let's continue the union versus non-union discussion. Well, that would be great. I mean, I guess we could do a show on it. I mean, would you like to come on and debate it? I don't know. Are you a proponent of non-union or a proponent of union? I mean, I'm kind of hard for me to tell what your, what your position is. Maybe you're pro non-union. We'll see. But thank you for the $10. And so we are now $55 away from a second additional hour. I mean, my debate, as far as the debate on union, non-union, JT Thompson, what I would say is that it depends. You know, like, I think there should be protections. Like, I think the protections that unions provide to most employees, the protections they provide should just be government, should be just laws that the government should be enforcing them, like, you know, legal worker protections. You know, you're non-union and pro Pella. Okay. Well, I don't have anything against non-union people, you know, and like I said, I don't think anyone should be forced to join a union, but I think a lot of like, you know, there are good points and bad points, you know, like what the teachers unions are doing makes me hate unions. You know, seeing people that could basically be terrible at a job and not do anything and still get the same pay as the people who bust their ass. I mean, it's just like that. What is it called? That where like 20% of the people do 80% of the work. In unions, I'd probably say it's 10% of the people do 90% of the work. So. Here's this. It says, from fearless debates, they were forced to flee Tennessee State University for their safety. I think this is the same thing we just watched, right? Yeah. Same thing we just watched. So, and then, but this is the university says at all times their students conducted themselves in a professional, respectful manner. A Bill of Rights for workers, Jim? Yeah, something there should be. You know, I mean, just if there was, you know, basically like. 99% of unions are in employers' pocket. The other 1% are in the politicians. I would say it's probably. It depends. Like, I'm going to tell you that not in Chicago, man. The employers were in the pocket of the union, most of them. You know, because you had to be, because the union could screw you over. But as far as the you know, like the politicians, basically every union, every person who was ever a union boss in Chicago, doesn't matter, AFL-CIO, all the different unions, they all, as soon as they get voted out because they screw the members over and the members say, yeah, we don't want this, want a new guy in, they always end up getting a job on a board in DC. Like, you could look at all these people and their names, like that guy was that guy was the head of the carpenters, that guy was the head of the plumbers, that guy was what the hell's going on? It's a constant revolving door where, you know, of politicians, basically, like anyone who becomes a business agent in the union is a politician. You know, any member, you know, like the president or the business manager of a union is a politician. Yeah, Chicago was organized crime. They were the employer and the union. Yeah. Yeah, no, in construction, hard labor, they do need them, but they should be voluntary. Yeah, definitely. 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 I mean, you know, like, let's take care of the laborers union in Chicago, which, you know, the laborers, which basically is just grunt work, and they do like demolition work and stuff like that, and they do like moving things and stuff on jobs and clean up and all this stuff. They don't live, they're exposed to all types of crap. They're breathing in shit, and you know, basically without the union to protect them, they would all be dead by the time they were 45. But I don't even think the union protects them that much, because basically the sooner they die, the more money they get in the pocket. You've been in 3 unions: sheet metal, operating engineers, and steel workers. Well, operating engineers, steel workers a good union. Operating engineers a good union. But the union I wanted to get in, but I didn't get in, was the elevator constructors union, because all their overtime was double time, and they compounded their hours so that if the more hours you worked, they just basically got applied to. So there was guys that would get 2 years of retirement credit in 1 year. So, but it is, yeah. Chicago is fucked. So anyway, so yeah, here's the statement. We just saw what happened at the school. They got basically, so it says a group of individuals unaffiliated with Tennessee State University appeared on campus just without prior notice. In accordance with the university policy, any demonstration or protest activity requires advance approval and permitting. Campus police and staff responded promptly, and individuals were escorted from the university grounds without incident. So that's the university saying that was without incident. At times, TCU students conducted themselves in a professional, respectful manner. So they're saying that was professional and respectful. And the safety and well-being of students and faculty and staff remain their priority, and they will continue to uphold the university policies, ensure that the campus remains safe, welcoming, and an orderly environment for all members of the community. This is like 1984 Orwell shit. We saw with our own eyes, but they're like, no, that didn't happen. Everybody was great. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. He was in the carpenter unit, rarely worked within 150 miles from home. I mean, Got this. High school students in Texas starting a Turning Point USA club appeared to have been doxxed in a Facebook group chat calling families for every child. The group urged parents to pressure teachers and students and shared students' private messages. While Herpin has not responded to our request for comment, the Spring Branch Democrat Club, where she serves as vice president, issued a public statement defending her and claimed that her members were threatened and harassed.
A radical far-left activist is targeting and doxing students at a high school in Texas, Stratford High School in Houston, where the students are trying to launch a Club America Turning Point USA chapter and are facing online attacks from a private Facebook group of adults.
All right, you know what? I'm not gonna. If these people are gonna play music on their videos, I'm not gonna play their videos, so they can figure their own shit out. Then, you know. Yeah. All right. Well, we were talking about Chicago, so here we go. Let's talk about Chicago a little bit. We'll see. I'll give it a few more minutes to see if any more funds come in to extend the show. But it says, after sticking both feet in his mouth by stating law enforcement is a sickness, Mayor 6.6 attempted to walk back the remarks the other day. He just dug himself deeper into a hole. We heard what the mayor said. We know what exactly he meant. And he said jails and incarceration, law enforcement was a sickness, does not lead to safe communities. It was a manner of expressing his geothermal hatred for Chicago police.
Hoping to clarify what Mayor Johnson meant by law enforcement is a sickness, we asked him today.
The people who heard my statement, they know exactly what I meant and what I'm talking about. They're using this moment to politicize, to justify their own insecurities. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to take it, and neither will the residents of this fine city.
Johnson explained that, quote, the addiction of jails and incarceration is one that we have to wean ourselves off of. This time leaving out a reference to law enforcement specifically.
When you just responded, though, you didn't loop in law enforcement this time. So did you not intend to use the
I said that law enforcement, here's what I've said, though. Law enforcement alone does not keep communities safe. Law enforcement agrees with me on that. How do you send police officers into communities when there's little access to affordable housing? What is a police officer's responsibility to hunger?
Hoping to clarify what Mayor Johnson meant by law enforcement is a sickness, we asked him today.
The people who heard my statement, they know exactly what I meant
Okay.
and what I'm
So
talking
we all heard what you said. All right. So I saw that. Sangalat, I saw that. I'm sorry. Where we go here? Locals, if I missed it. I just went in locals and looked, and I saw you donated 50 coins, which is $5. So I deducted that from the goal. So we are now $50 away from an additional hour. So yeah, so go Cubs. I don't know. I'm telling you, I never was a Cubs fan. Partly because I was happy when they finally won. I really enjoyed cheeseburgers from the Billy Goat though, but I saw my grandfather who every year would sit there watching the Cubs and would be hoping that we'd have a good season and everything, and then every year he would be completely heartbroken and upset that they could not do anything. So, like I think it was, what is it, 86, somewhere in the 80s when it was that whole thing with the with some kind of issue. Anyway, I remember what was their third baseman was called the Penguin, Ron, something or other. And then we had Brian Sandberg just passed away too, or second baseman or shortstop, I can't remember. But well, tyranny. We refuse to control real criminals. That's the anarchy. We control the innocent. That's the tyranny. Yeah. Anarcho-tyranny. Oh, you almost typed Joe forgetting the ghetto again? Why, is there something in the ghetto? Okay. The dog's name is Bella. And Chicago is out of control. Imagine a courthouse that can't control itself. Even the ladies filming say so. They're telling us we're safe and crime is down. Yeah, so he said all this stuff about, the jails and the prison and the cops being a sickness, but this is what happens at a courthouse in Chicago.
Hey, but man, what y'all still off of him already hitting you? On my store, they in this bitch fighting at the courthouse, and he not playing with that ass either. Oh my God, don't they years, boy? They let them come in here with them damn ski masks and shit on like they on something. Gee, the courthouse busting kind of early, y'all.
Yeah, it's just the culture. Somebody will understand. Johnson is the only guy on earth who could make people miss Lori Lightfoot. They don't miss her a lot, but they wish it was her instead of him. Yeah, I mean, this guy's horrible. But you know what else? He's tied in with the teachers union. He was like, and it's weird because he was negotiating the contracts with the teachers union, promised them all this money. And we got this. Look at this. This is UC Irvine professor Catherine Liu appears to endorse Louis Manchione's assassination of the healthcare CEO. I want CEOs to be afraid. Class war is the only war worth fighting. Well, this is the commies we're dealing with here. And look, it's a Chinese communist. What do you know?
Like, this is not Luigi Mangione and United Healthcare. I have friends who condemn Luigi too, who said he was an adventurous, friends on the left with whom I had massive disagreements. I thought, you know what? I want CEOs to be afraid. And I take a totally different position with that because I still think the class war is the only war worth fighting.
So you know what I want? I want professors to be afraid. That's what needs to happen. These communist professors need to get deported the fuck out of the country. Democrats aren't even hiding it anymore. The paid protesters' request surged 400%. Wow. When you see these protests,
Lawrence, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Well, it's great to have you. I'm really intrigued with your business model. So, for example, how much are you paying these protesters in Washington, D.C.?
Well, when protesters, we don't comment on specific protests, but generally the range can be from the low hundreds, the low 100s, into a few hundred. It really depends on the location, the duration, and any challenges that, for example, cold weather or early morning. You guys at Fox and Friends know all about getting up early in the morning. We tend to pay people more in that. Obviously, everything Crowds on Demand does is peaceful and law-abiding protest. There's a law. Lawrence, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Look at this. You got the new North Carolina House of Representatives just passed Arena's law. Allegedly, his company turned down $20 million. Yeah. To end cashless bail and fast-track death penalty cases for violent thugs like DeCarlos Brown, who slit the throat of Irena Zaritska on a light rail train last month. Predictably, Democrats voted against it. Here we go. Democrats voted against the bill.
We begin with breaking news out of Raleigh tonight. In just the last few hours, North Carolina lawmakers voted to pass the newly filed and highly anticipated Arena's law. For hours today, House lawmakers embraced debate, the final vote being 82 for the bill and 30 against.
Named Arena's law, the bill comes in the wake of the recent Charlotte light rail attack where 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee Irena Zaritska was brutally killed. Video of that attack, of course, sparked nationwide outrage. Her alleged killer, the Carlos Brown Jr., still in jail tonight under no bond.
We begin with breaking news out of.
Yeah, because this is still going on. Watch this. I can't believe the way these people treated me. Think about how they'll treat you.
I'm Nick Shirley.
Yo, he's Nick Shirley.
He knows me. I never said anything like that.
Say fuck Charlie Kirk.
Why would I say that?
Say fuck him.
Why would I say that?
He's racist.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He said if my pilot was black, I would question the production. And he said black women got brain processing power.
Well, look at you.
Look
at you. Look at you.
He said black women got.
You can't be for the Palestinians and against the blacks. You can't be for the Palestinians and against the blacks. It don't matter.
Oh.
You have to be pro-black if you're pro-Palestinian.
All right. I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to have to take this stream down. I want to thank everybody who was here, and come on back tomorrow for Jim Tells You the News. All right? I'll talk to you later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I noticed something there that's going to be a problem that could get me in trouble. So it's going to be an issue. So, cool. Tell everybody good night, and I'll see you.